In the wrestling world, the people are represented by two separate but unequally important groups. The wrestlers and bookers, who literally do all the hard work, and the fans, who endlessly nitpick and overanalyze everything they do. These are their stories.
Hey! It's Warhorse, and you need to shut your mouth, open your eyes, and clean out your ears, because it's time to listen to the Raw and Order podcast. That's right, they're bringing you the best in all that meaty podcasty goodness in one, what is it, an hour? Two? Who cares? Who gives a shit? You need to listen to it right now, or else Warhorse is gonna, I don't know, roll your ass!
Welcome to another episode of Raw and Order, the Wrestling Booking Unit, the only wrestling podcast on the planet that is actually still watching the finale of Full Gear yesterday for reasons. I am your host, Detective Mark Smarks, and I am joined, as always, by my partner in crime, fighting District Attorney Vincent Kayfabe. He'll be joining in camera hopefully soon. What's going on, man? How are you?
I'm exhausted.
Yeah. I know you had something that took you most of the night last night. So
I did a lock-in in a museum. Did you know that shit comes to life in the middle of the night?
Yeah, I remember lock-ins when I was a kid at churches, and there was not much sleeping. Let's just say that.
Well, no, they did have a turn down time, but when you're a dad in his 40s, Dan the dad would probably attest to this. Concrete floors, not kind to you. And I'm going to complain about sleeping on a show where people got injured by concrete floors regularly on the show we're reviewing. So we're okay. Yeah. I guess I'm better than they are.
Yeah, exactly. So we're also supposedly going to be joined by JLB. He sent a message saying that he'll be on in QSEC. Must be a Canadian thing. I don't know how many sex Q is, but yeah. So
technically he's no sex, but that's a Star Trek joke, not a
no sex. Yeah, he's every sex.
Yes, and no sex at the same time.
Yes, and no sex. But they are a sect.
Sect, yes.
Yeah. Anyway.
But they are no time.
But there are no time. Yeah. Gender. That was a very nerdy section on what is already usually a pretty nerdy podcast. So
yeah, that went a little over the top. I apologize for that.
No, be triggered. Nope. See, I know who wins. I've seen all the spoilers and everything.
Oh, you're still in the last match.
But I am in the finale of the last match.
Oh.
So it's
are the boys out yet? Are the boys out there?
The boys just came out. They're standing at ringside.
Really close to the end.
Yeah,
ladies
pretty
and
close
gentlemen,
to the end.
we're gonna observe a moment of silence for the greatest moment in wrestling in 2021. So we're just gonna observe.
Yeah.
Smarks.
Watch my face as I watch this, because
this is live, folks. You can see Smarks' reaction live.
We're live, buddy. The buckshot from behind.
Whoa, that sounded dirty.
Yeah, that's right. Buckshot from behind.
There's Matt nodding his head.
Looking at Matt nodding his head. Yep.
See,
buckshot from the front. 1, 2, 3. And
Adam Page, champion.
Yeah, it's Adam Page, baby. Wait, no, that's not the right. Anyways,
different Adam.
But no, it was a very good match. Like I'd said on the FBI last week, I wasn't able to watch it live yesterday when it was on because I was at a performance of Hamilton. You obviously were not able to watch it live because you were at a lock-in, or at least on the way to the lock-in during the time that this would have been going on. I don't know exactly when the lock-in started.
All that. I got to watch Addams Family too.
But
if I can give people a word of advice, if there aren't children with you, don't.
Yeah.
Don't watch Addams Family too.
Yeah. It takes a certain kid to
mainly adolescent boys, which is, I was surrounded by them. That sounded dirty too. Anyway, moving forward. Hi!
Moving forward. Hi, tired boy. I'm tired for a different reason and not nearly as tired as you, but Hamilton was a 3-hour show and it didn't start until 9. And of course, there's 8 and there's an intermission. So it was 11:30 before, we were leaving there, midnight before we got home. And that's still earlier than what you would have gotten in terms of real sleep.
I went to bed about 2.
Yeah, but
I didn't really sleep.
Yeah. But with all of this, I didn't get to sleep in at all this morning. I'm sure you didn't either. And because I had family in town for that, and then we didn't either of us get a chance to watch this until relatively late this afternoon. Me myself,
some idiot broke his phone.
Yeah,
me.
I mean, two idiots that are currently on this podcast have broken phones in the last couple weeks, so I can't throw any stones at a certain broken phone. It looks like we also have JLB, although it looks like he's going to be audio only.
Yes, sir. What's up? This is JLB 420.
I sound so much better than that. Hold on. I'm going to get my better mic. Do you guys still hear me okay or not really?
Wow, we can hear you as good as whatever, but,
Do you hear me better? No, but I feel like I hear... Hold on. I'll switch my mic.
Okay. Anyway, so, great show. I feel like... I'm just going to give a quick rundown of my synopsis of it. I feel like it may have been so busy that it was the second best pay-per-view of AEW's year.
Yeah, it might have been. It was
fire.
It was really, really good. It might have been that if they would have cut one match out of it, it would have felt better.
Yeah.
Just because with as many matches as were in it.
Well, they all were just fucking filled with chaos.
It was a bit exhausting. I did feel overwhelmed.
That's kind of what it was a little much in the long run, I think, but yeah, so okay, I just finished.
I'm glad they have the talent to do that, but
yeah, I mean, and the thing is, I think we're gonna find that we don't have a whole lot of worsts, or when we are doing worsts, they're all gonna be pretty nitpicky because I don't think there was a bad match on this night, right?
No, Simon gave somebody a down.
I think they're thinking, well, and knowing Simon Miller,
when he said it, he said I grade on a scale.
Yeah, knowing Simon Miller, he basically said, "Listen, this is a down compared to the other stuff in the show, right?"
Yeah.
I haven't watched it, so I don't know what his down was. We might bring it up when we talk about things, but this will be the review of AEW Full Gear in case you didn't get what we were talking about so far. AEW Full Gear 2021 was just yesterday. Originating from the Target Center in Minneapolis, Minnesota, which made me so frustrated because Minneapolis, Minnesota is driving distance. Yeah, from where I live. And I mean, it's a full day, but if I would have been,
that's not driving distance. That's still a full day, though. Jesus.
Hey, when you live in banjo country, 8 hours is the first day of your vacation, and then the rest of it's fun.
Yeah, I mean that's the deal. From where I live to get any place worth going is at least 5 hours.
4. You can get Kansas City.
I can get to Kansas City if I push it in 4 hours. Yeah. But that's the deal. Is any place worth going is 4 to 5 hours, right? And then any place really worth going is more than that.
And it's 18 minutes to the best zoo in the world from where you're at. So it's not any place worth going. Any wrestling venue worth going to.
What I use any place worth going, meaning any place worth going that's not my hometown.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Okay.
Like I could drive to where I grew up in about 2.5 hours, but is that really worth going? I mean, yeah, for me, I get to see my mom and I get to see some friends and stuff like that. But that's not a vacation spot. That's
You're 2 hours from the birthplace of Kool-Aid.
birthplace of Kool-Aid, right? So you can go there, and they've got a museum that dedicated the basement to Kool-Aid, and the rest of it has other stuff. They've got a entire exhibit about like pioneer junk.
You're 2 hours from a museum where Maya Antonia was filmed.
Mm-hmm.
Most people don't know whether that is, so that didn't really qualify.
Willa Cather, but
All right,
I mean, other than that, like you said, 6 hours or so to Minneapolis. Were I in a different position a few months ago, I could have actually gone to this show.
We could standardize. I think we can standardize what you're saying is you're 4 hours plus from a Cheesecake Factory. So places worth going usually have a Cheesecake Factory at them.
There actually is a Cheesecake Factory in Omaha.
What?
Yeah. West Roads Mall.
I didn't know this.
Yes. It's been there for a while. Yeah. Here's the thing: Cheesecake Factories this is a total off subject. I don't know if JLB you have Cheesecake Factories up there. Cheesecake Factories.
I'm just wishing I didn't show up to the show at this point.
Fucking exhausting, right? You go to a Cheesecake Factory and you're like, I just want to order some food, and then they hand you a phone book for the menu.
And that's just the cheesecake flavors you can choose.
Yeah. And so you gotta get to the Z's before you get to foods, and then there's an addendum that's the rest of the food. They start over at ones.
Here's your Eastern Conference finalist for your appetizer.
I'd be like, bro, just give me chocolate cheesecake. Fuck this.
Yeah.
Bible book of cheese.
Yeah. Oh, but then they'll be like, okay, chocolate cheesecake. Now, do you want that with chocolate cheesecake, or do you want regular cheesecake with chocolate on it?
And what type of drizzle would you like?
Yeah. Okay. You want drizzle? Now, do you want dark chocolate or chocolate ganache drizzle, or do you want milk chocolate drizzle?
Maybe a caramel drizzle with your chocolate cheese.
Caramel
I'll be like, give me the chocolate that won't get you punched in the face. Okay, the most basic one we have. Yes.
Pretty sure you're going to get arrested saying stuff like that. Anyway, moving forward.
Anyways,
Raw and Order is
yeah,
part of the
so like 5
Podcast
hours.
Network.
But what I was saying is, were I in a different position a few months ago, were I in this position I am in now a few months ago, I could have actually gone to this because it's only about 6 hours away and all that stuff. But I at the time they announced this, up until yesterday, my real off the books job here, non-kayfabe, my real job, worked every Saturday until 6 p.m. And I had no paid time off or anything like that. Getting time off was a pain in the butt and all that stuff. But yesterday was my last day there, and I start my new job tomorrow.
Hey.
That is going to be a Monday through Friday job, 9 to 5-ish.
Mark my words, WrestleMania, Dallas.
Which means that in the future, pay-per-views anywhere in the near area, I will be trying to go. So
Dallas, WrestleMania. We'll be in the cheap seats, but I think I might do that.
Yeah, I got to be honest. Whatever the cheap seats for WrestleMania have got to be better than the not exactly cheap but horrible seats that I had for Hamilton last night. Now, I don't want to say that the show itself was phenomenal, but if you've ever been to the Orpheum Theater here in Omaha, we just lost JLB.
He'll be back.
The cheap seats are. Hey, there he is again.
What happened?
You just dropped for some reason.
Oh, okay. I didn't hear anything. I'm like, what's going on?
Yeah, you just disappeared after a bit. So, but the absolute cheap seats at the Orpheum, even the not so cheap seats, the legroom. I'm not a tall guy, but the legroom on this thing, I had to wedge myself in a position so that I could even fit my knees in front of me, and I'm only 5'7". I cannot imagine what a 6-footer like D.A. Fabe would feel like trying to sit in these seats. And even the worst seats we've ever had at a WWE event still had way more legroom than this. So
Five.
Anyways,
They had five
so,
leg rooms.
yeah. But
How much were the seats?
I don't know my mother bought them for us as
Wow.
combined presents.
So just be a grateful son. Holy
no,
shit.
I loved the thing, but I'm telling you, I literally have bruises on my legs, on my shins from this because of having to wedge my feet
on your knees.
Below my knees. I would have been more comfortable if I would have been just kneeling on my knees on the ground there, but you can't, and there's not room for that either.
I'll play Aaron Burr, you play Hamilton. I'll shoot you. You can be on your knees during it.
Well, I will then throw away my shot. Anyways, and instantly we lose viewers. So we will get into this. Like the play was amazing. Hamilton was amazing, and I loved everything. But I literally
was it with that dude?
No, I mean it's the touring cast, so it's
okay.
Different people and everything. But the person who was Hamilton was phenomenal. I only had a couple ones that I was like, I wish it was a different person doing it, but that's mostly from familiarity. They did a different take that I wasn't ready for. Anyways, and it was phenomenal, but it kept me out late, and so I didn't get to watch Full Gear yesterday. So I watched it today, and I just finished it. JLB wasn't
so
here
long.
It's so long.
So
literally
long.
The first 10 minutes of this podcast was me still finishing the main event. So,
wow.
Yeah.
Until just shortly before you joined. Anyways,
there was a lot to it, and
there was a lot.
It was just
9 total matches.
They needed an intermission.
Yeah, 9 total matches. Not a single one less than 11 minutes long. It looks like. Which is the way pay-per-view should be. Pay-per-view should have long matches. Maybe not 10 of them or 9 of them.
No.
Maybe 7 15-minute long matches instead of 9 15-minute long matches.
9.
But there's some good things about it and bad things. We'll actually get into all of that here in just a second. Before we get to the actual review part, I always say to remind people that Raw and Order is part of the Tatnus Co podcast network. So if you haven't already, you need to head on over to tatnusco.com, and the link in the doobly-doos, just tatnusco.com, and check out the other ones there.
MMA professional fighter Tatnus?
Yeah, MMA and actor and movie
and
producer,
wrestling fan.
Connoisseur.
And wrestling fan. Yes.
No, we're the connoisseurs of wrestling. He's the fan.
Yes.
Okay, fair.
But yeah, head on over to Tatnusco, link down in the doobly-doos, down there, tatnusco.com. Check them all out there and tell them we sent you there. If you haven't been to one of our pay-per-view reviews, we do them different than the other podcasts out there. We don't go, this is this match and this is what happened, what did you think of it? This is this match, this is what happened, what do you think of it? If you want breakdowns of the matches and all of that stuff match by match, there are plenty of podcasts and YouTube channels you can go to. What we do instead is we talk about what was good about it and also what was bad about it. And
it's a motherfucking award show.
It's like an award show, yes. Yeah. But we start off with the bad because we like to get the bad out of the way so that we can actually talk about the good stuff in the show. And like I mentioned before, I think we'll have to be really nitpicky about the bads in this.
No. There's too much in 2 matches for me.
Okay. 2 matches.
Let's start.
Worst match. But again, like I said, saying worst match of the night, which is the first one coming up here. Again, it's still being nitpicky because worst match of the night. If you had, 8 5-star matches and a 4-star match, you had the 4-star match is the worst match of the night. It still was a good match. That's what I'm saying. It's all about being nitpicky. Pick Mickey.
Nicki Minaj.
But so
there are 5 lenses on this fucking thing.
Yep. Those new ones. Well, technically, it's 4 lenses and a depth sensor, I believe.
Speaking of nitpicky, Jesus, you'll have no problem with the worst match.
When you say me talking about that, remember my job up until yesterday was selling cell phones. So yes, I'm going to be nitpicky about cell phones.
Fair.
All right, let's do this.
Samsung Galaxy
Let's
S20
go.
Ultra, by the way. It's kind of the top of the line phone for Samsung. So you did good.
Oh.
You could also get the S Pen for it and draw on your screen with the S Pen, I believe.
Stop it.
You can do
I
it.
think it made your face look bigger. Oh, you're not using that camera. Never mind.
No.
Try to be a dick. Didn't work. Let's go. Worst match of the night.
So worst
Let's
match
go
of the
ahead.
night. Go.
You start.
Go. Yeah, you're all in a hurry. Do it. Tell us what it is. What was the worst match of the night?
All right. So it's gonna be harsh. It's just because it's the most one I don't remember, but it literally might be because of the placement of the match, which I think was technically almost at the end, but by almost the end, I was kind of exhausted, and that would have to be the Britt Baker match.
Go
Wrong.
fuck yourself.
Wrong.
That's the same shit Simon said. It was in the wrong placement. No, it was in the right placement.
Nope, you're wrong. You're wrong.
What placement was it at?
It
was it the co-main event?
Fourth from the end.
Oh, fourth from the end.
Fourth from the end. Okay.
So
it was overshadowed by way too much activity, and then even more way too much activity.
Mm-hmm. Here's the deal: is
and that's just it though. Like I'm gonna rewatch. I have to rewatch Full Gear because it's just.
Oh yeah.
I was overwhelmed.
Yeah,
you know.
It was overwhelming. I'm gonna be the first to say I do not think that was even close to the worst match of the night. Worst placement maybe, but
which also means it's smack dab in the middle.
Yeah, it's basically right in the middle. Yeah, and it was maybe the worst placement, but quite frankly, if I'm choosing my worst match of the night, it's probably the Cody Rhodes and Pac versus Malachi Black and Andrade match, but again, that's being nitpicky because it still was a good match.
Also wrong.
But that would be my choice.
See, I was not expecting much from that match. So by what actually happened during the match, I felt satisfied.
I thought that told story upon story. Yeah,
it did tell a lot of stories.
Again, fucking working. My brain was going. Zelina is Andrade's former manager, and Malachi Black's wife. What if this is all about the Rhodes family saying that there's only one royal family in professional wrestling, but Zelina's a queen?
Oh wait, I maybe didn't get the Zelina reference. What happened there?
There was no Zelina reference. That's all in his head.
Okay.
There was so much storytelling that I started telling my own stories.
Okay, that's fair.
Again, I'm pointing out I'm being nitpicky. It's just like, to me, worst match of the night is either that one or, frankly, the Christian Cage and Jurassic Express versus Super Click.
That one was up there for me. Here's what match placement I think changes the entire night. I think if you do the America's top team and Inner Circle on the pre-show, and you do the pre-show match right before the women's match, I think you get something completely different out of this pay-per-view, and I don't think all of us are exhausted. That Junior Dos Santos slow roll to the punch to Jericho.
Yeah, that was bad.
That was rough.
Commentators did good though. The commentators were like, "Oh, I think he lost his footing."
Couldn't get his balance.
Yeah. Although he was clearly balanced, he looked like a superstar. He was holding on to that rope.
Where the fuck are you, DeSantos?
Yeah.
So, I would say that match was the worst one of the night, mostly because there was too much going on. A lot of that is location placement because it was just after we had the Jurassic Express and Christian Cage versus the other one.
Well, I mean, that the Christian Cage Jurassic Express was earlier in the night. It was fourth match. the main card and the inner circle.
But
one was
the
second
women's
to
match
last.
was sandwiched between those two, right?
Yeah, there were 2 other matches in between them as well. There are 3 matches total. The
Okay.
Cody Rhodes and Pac, the Britt Baker versus Ty Conti, and then the CM Punk versus Eddie Kingston match were all in between them.
Okay.
So
and those all told lots of stories in them and stuff. So I felt like, why are these guys in the middle of the show? Why are these guys where they are? And I think if that had opened it, it would have given us a lot more during the actual show.
I mean, technically, they were, the inner circle one was the co-main event. It was the second to last match.
Correct, and I think it needed to be the pre-show. I really do.
I don't think it needed to be the pre-show. Although I will say that I'm a little
the pre-show
pissy
match was
with
fire.
Yeah, and I'm pissy with the fact that it was pre-show. You've got 2 former women's champions, 1 eventual women's champion, and 1 on the cusp. Well, no, because it was Hikaru Shida and Thunder Rosa versus Jamie Hayter and Nyla Rose.
Oh, Jamie Hayter, sorry.
Yeah,
Jamie Hayter.
And Jamie Hayter has the potential to be it, but she's not there yet. But Thunder Rosa will challenge for, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if she's the next challenger for Britt Baker.
She might be the one who takes it off her. Yep.
So
anyway, that was a fire match. It really was. Mostly Thunder Rosa and Hikaru Shida and Nyla Rose. Jamie Hayter took some really good bumps, and so it was good. So the reason I say there was just so much activity when you have 10 guys out there, there's too much activity.
There's a little that I would have. I really would have preferred it to be
that match or something.
Minneapolis street fight.
No, I mean if they'd have made it into a stadium stampede, then it wouldn't have been.
I think there's a lot of reasons they didn't. I mean, primarily because they no longer have access to a full stadium all the time, sort of a thing. So they had to do something else. I don't hate the placement of it. I do think it maybe was about 5 minutes too long.
Yeah.
I think anytime you get not just a street fight, but 5-on-5 street fight, that ends up adding a ton to it.
So much chaos.
So much chaos. And yeah, I'll admit, much like, because I'm watching it on a time schedule trying to get done before this, there were parts during that I fast forwarded. But there were also parts during the Christian Cage and Jurassic Express versus the Super Clip
because it was too busy as well.
It was also too busy and maybe about 4 minutes too long as well. And so,
however,
I
don't put that on there because of the not Swanton. When Luchasaurus did the move that injured Brock Lesnar, shooting star press. Because of the shooting star press, it does not land in the worst match of the night.
Yeah, that shooting star press was dope.
Oh my god! So anyway. No, and you're right. Worst match of the night is still a pretty good match. Its placement. It was exhausting. It was.
I mean, here's part of the deal, right? I don't see that ever going on the pre-show, if only just because of the stars in it. Number one, but number two, you don't get Junior Dos Santos and Andrei Arlovsky and Dan Lambert into a professional wrestling match without guaranteeing it to be
on the pay-per-view,
big time.
Well, main event level ish. And here we're gonna take a step back on that match and mention, we'll talk about it, I'm sure, later, but I want to point out that even though we nitpicked a bit of the Dos Santos stuff and everything, they actually performed remarkably well for MMA fighters who did not spend the last year training to be wrestlers.
Right.
I mean, from all reports, they got the call like 2 months ago for Dan Lambert to show up, and it was supposed to be a one-off, and they impressed well enough that Tony Khan called them back again, and they've been coming back. And so at most, Junior Dos Santos and Arlovsky had maybe 2 months to train for this. And I doubt even that. I bet you this match only came together a few weeks ago, really. And so it's like, okay, let's train you guys up. And they did, for people with as little training as they did well. But yeah, I mean, those are all matches that I would say would be in the running for worst of the night, but we're still talking 4-star matches. I mean, not on the Meltzer scale, because Meltzer has his own thing, but
Did
on
Meltzer
the scale,
rate them yet?
no, those probably won't come out till Wednesday. I think that's when the Observer comes out. So
Okay.
we'll find out then.
Oh, that makes sense when he does them. Okay.
Mhm.
Never realized that.
I mean, Meltzer's the lead reporter for the Wrestling Observer newsletter, so.
No, I just figured he just watched it and did it, and then he does his Observer later on. My bad. Anyways, yeah. What pissed me off is that since Masvidal is injured and can't actually do his fight against, I think his name is Edwards or something, in UFC, I was like, oh, maybe he could be in AEW and do something small, but no. But yeah,
I would argue if he was injured enough that he can't do his fight, he probably was injured enough that he really can't do an appearance.
Yeah.
No, I know that's fair.
So that was, I mean, we don't have an agreement on worst match of the night, but we do have, I'm sure, agreement on most of the ones that weren't worst match of the night by far.
Oh yeah, yeah.
For
You
sure.
know, I mean, I don't think any of us has MJF versus Darby Allin on our list for worst match of the night.
I mean, other than the wrong guy won, but that's only because I hate him, because that's his job, is to make me hate him.
We're supposed to hate him.
Great story though.
It told a great story, right? I don't think any of us are gonna say a problem with Bryan Danielson versus Miro. We may disagree on
Again,
who should have
won.
I personally think it was the right one. We've talked about this before.
They told that story. I mean, the times where Miro's taking the kicks and then hands out one kick, and Daniel Bryan, or I'm sorry, I just was calling him the same thing that JR called him.
Thanks, JR.
Bryan Danielson gives a kick. Or takes one kick from Miro and just gets launched. You're just like, they are selling Miro the Monster really well.
Yeah. So we might disagree on who should have won. I'm a fan of this booking for the reasons we talked about on FBI. And I don't think Miro losing to Bryan Danielson hurts him as much as him losing to Hangman Page might, right? And frankly, I mean, who in this podcast is excited for Bryan Danielson versus Hangman Page? Me.
Oh my
God.
Me.
Only two hands come up.
Only two hands up. JLB. Jeez.
Why?
Why did you put your hand up, man?
Hey, Rob, I'm just John Cena. You can't see me.
Wrong company.
Yeah,
I know.
Although we might talk about some John Cena references at some point later on in the show, I'm sure. Because CM Punk littered his performance with John Cena references. So, but my thing is I really disagree with Britt Baker versus Tay Conti being even in the bottom three myself.
No, yeah.
Okay.
It's I would put
that actually above CM Punk versus.
It'd be really close for me. Yeah, it'd be really close for me. I would put the women's match above the Inner Circle match. I would put it above the Jurassic Express match. I would put it.
I'd maybe put it above the Inner Circle match. Come to think about it.
Okay,
I'd forgotten.
So it's not the worst match of the night.
Maybe not. Maybe I'd go with the Inner Circle match.
Okay. So 2 out of 3 on Inner Circle.
Because here's the deal: is in the end, I would put this Britt Baker versus Tay Conti matchup against almost any WWE women's match in the last 6 months.
Now,
right?
There's a very good possibility we get a better women's match next week. Very good possibility. One we can finally fucking invest in.
And that would be
Becky versus Charlotte.
We can invest in that.
Yeah.
Considering they hate each other, I don't know.
I'm 90% sure that's a shoot. That's
there might be, but have you seen the latest reports?
No.
The latest reports are they're planning on booking it as a as a screw job.
Oh fuck! Well, we'll
Uh,
find out. It is Survivor Series, so
like screw job for Flair or
Like
Becky.
I'm gonna assume because they want to keep Becky the heel, definitely that it's gonna be a screw job for Flair.
Oh.
anyway.
Well, there goes my wrestling pool prediction.
Well, you have time to change.
Yep, you have a week to change it.
That's valid.
But here's the deal. Yeah, sure, it's a shoot, and they legitimately might hate each other. I'm still not invested in this match because how many times have we seen Becky versus Charlotte?
73 for 402.
Yes. In fact, I will point out that just a few years ago, our big frustration is we were supposed to have Becky versus Ronda Rousey.
And we got Charlotte versus Ronda Rousey.
Charlotte versus Ronda Rousey. And then Becky ended up getting shoehorned in. And then it was Becky versus Charlotte versus Ronda Rousey. And I'm just tired of seeing them in each other's circle. I'm just tired of it. We need to have a few years where they just don't fight each other ever before I'm ready for it again. Anyways,
so moving on. After worst match of the night, we have.
Yeah. So after worst match of the night, most predictable moment. And like I said, this is going to be another one that we might have to be nitpicky because it's like, do Adam Cole, baby? That's super predictable.
I'm gonna. It's a good predictability, so it's not a worse thing, but it is a most predictable. 7 million references to Eddie Guerrero.
Yeah, that's a pretty good one, and I was gonna say that might
because it's
be
the same day.
Yeah,
16
that might be on my best list.
Yeah, it was a good thing. Like I'm not saying
thing.
it's not a good thing. It's just
as
soon as you knew, you were like, oh yeah, this is gonna happen.
In the inner circle match, especially towards the end. When Jericho was finishing up, and then afterwards, he was legitimately crying, as he looked up, and that hit me in the feels. And so yeah, no, I agree. I would say this is another thing that I would argue.
That's not a shit talking on it either.
No. This is another thing that I would say might be a most predictable moment in still a good way. Who here on this podcast thought Kenny Omega was going to win?
Yeah, nobody.
I don't think anyone did. Hangman Page winning very easily could be the most predictable moment. Now, that's not a bad.
I wanted a swerve so bad.
Oh, I didn't. This was the moment they've spent 2 years basically leading to. I'll point out on the original announcement for All Elite Wrestling on BTE before they did the whole like press conference thing. The original announcement was an episode of BTE where all of the elite got a message on their phone.
Right.
And Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks and Cody Rhodes, their messages all said double or nothing. Right? Hangman Page's message said All Elite Wrestling. From point one, they were setting him up to be the champion, right? And then they've told a story over almost the full 2 years of Hangman Page's fall from grace, of him doubting himself, of him falling into depression and drinking, of him not being able to put together the match against Kenny Omega, losing.
Deciding to be friends with the wrong group of people, at least the ones your parents would call the wrong group of people.
Mm-hmm. Yep, exactly. Well, and
who ended up being the right group of people.
Yeah. Well, before that, siding with the wrong group of people who your parents might have thought are really super nice guys when he befriended FTR. Yeah. And they used him to cheat his friends out of the tag titles, right? All of these things here are all part of the storyline that led to this moment. And after 2 years, it was time for this release. This was the
buckshot lariat to the back. That's what it was.
Yeah. This was the moment that we like, yeah. And so yeah, this was definitely the way it needed to be, in my opinion. And it was the most predictable moment, but in a very good way, because just like watching a good sporting event, even if your team's supposed to win, even if they're booked, like all the sports books expect them to win, even they're by far the better team, if they come from behind and finally win, it's still the better storyline, right? So
I think that's a far stretch with the phones, though. But sure.
I do not. Here's the deal: if you go through and analyze, there's a person on Twitter who went and analyzed all of this stuff. Because remember, not only was he the first one to get the AEW logo, right, the only one of them, right, he was immediately put into the main event picture immediately, up against the eventual winner, right, and then he lost. And at the time, I'll be the first to admit, I thought that wasn't the right choice for him to lose. I thought this is the time you hotshot your new star and all this stuff, but instead they put it on Chris Jericho, which in hindsight was actually the right move.
And right now, truth be told, I mean, if Chris Jericho was in the world title picture right now, you'd be like, what the fuck?
Yeah. It was the right move then to put Chris Jericho there.
He was the right guy then
to establish it, but he's not the right guy now. Yeah, in fact, he's falling into his position. His position now is sort of leader of a group of up and comers, right? Santana and Ortiz and Sammy Guevara are the most important. Jake Hager is Jake Hager, whatever, So,
who's fallen into the role of enforcer? Doing a great job of
I mean, he's Jake Hager, but he does that job very well. I think he understands that his position is not to be the challenger for the title now. His position is to be the enforcer. He's the muscle for the group, right?
Yep.
Anyways, and so if you look at almost every part of the storyline that they told with Hangman Page, every section of it was setting him up to be the star of the future. Even back to then, they were like, he is the one that is the one of the future. And remember, at that point, Cody Rhodes was an established star. Kenny Omega was an established star, multi-time champions around the world, both of them, right? The Young Bucks were considered the best, and still are the best tag team in the business. And then there's this schmo that hangs out with them named Hangman Page, who hadn't been a champion at any promotion. And they immediately hotshotted him to the main event and put him in the main title picture right off the bat. That's not by accident that all of that stuff happened. Now, yeah, there were twists and turns that happened along the way that might have delayed this. They probably didn't plan on it taking 2 years to do this storyline, frankly.
Right.
But they didn't plan on COVID-19 hitting after they were only running for about 6 months, and then suddenly being like, well, shit, what do we do? We're doing these no fan shows. Well, we can't have this storyline that we've been planning play out with no fans. This has got to be something that the fans see.
Yeah.
Right.
In fact, it needed to happen with OnlyFans.
OnlyFans, yeah. OnlyFans there.
Well played.
Sorry. Oops.
Yeah, you're really sorry about that one.
Oh, that was good.
So that's my argument for most predictable moment is him winning. But again, it's not a bad thing. It was the release we finally needed for this. So
yeah.
JLB, what was your most predictable moment?
Yeah, I think Hangman Page winning though. I mean, as much as I wanted a swerve to happen, I do think that anybody who's anybody kind of knew what was up and that was going down. And it was a sweet moment, don't get me wrong. And I would even argue that this is your first built star from AEW. Technically pure AEW related. This is AEW's first big star who's held the title.
Yeah.
Built from scratch, of course.
Yeah, I mean, well, he's definitely their first one in the main event, right? But I mean, you could say that Darby Allin is their first star, because
Oh no, I meant
he
main
came
event
from
title
there.
holder kind of thing.
He's not main event. He's not title holder yet. Kenny Omega, you really can't count him as an AEW made star because he was New Japan champion.
Yeah, exactly.
And he was considered the best wrestler in the world before AEW started and everything.
That's it.
But I will say, non-WWE guys now outweigh WWE guys in number of championships.
Yep. I will also say Britt Baker might be in argument the
valid. Yeah, that's fair.
The other, but you can say, well, he's the first men's.
Yeah,
right.
Because Nyla Rose is also in that category.
Yeah.
So
on the women's side.
All
right.
But so yeah, I will say honorable mention for Cody Rhodes' team winning. Because come on,
I'm glad it wasn't Cody that got the win though.
Yeah, it was nice that it wasn't Cody. I read someone online who said something and it made a whole lot of sense. He said Cody Rhodes didn't turn heel. The fans turned heel on Cody Rhodes. Which might actually be the better storyline. And I kind of agree with that eventually this will lead to Cody Rhodes hopefully being more heelish, but he'll be more heelish because he's like, listen, I did everything for you and none of it was good enough for you. And legitimate, like we've had heel wrestlers who've said shit like that before, but none of it was justified really. This will be justified because
I mean, I wouldn't blame him for turning heel. Like Cody, I freaking hate your guts as a wrestler. As a character on AEW, like if you turn heel, I completely understand. I hate you, and I don't know why. In a wrestling term, I don't hate him personally, but just wrestling wise, like I would understand why you turn heel. Heck, I'd turn heel if I'd had this much hatred that I'm giving you right now.
Yeah. And so, so that's kind of an honorable mention I'll give, but I think the other ones we mentioned are probably the more predictable moments of it. So we will move on to botch of the night. This one's going to be probably a little tough because I don't know if there were many real botches.
Well, aside from Daniel Santos,
yeah, that's going to be probably about the only one, right?
I'm sure there were others. I was just so overwhelmed.
I was like, dude, get there. I was like, why is he just sitting there? Do the flip.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Commentators did great though on trying to cover up for that. Like that was pretty spot on.
Thing is, like I just watched it and I don't know of any other moment that I can say was a botch. Right. I didn't see anything else in this that I would say was a botch.
Storyline botch?
Maybe.
There's a storyline botch where, CM Punk got knocked the fuck out before the match even started.
Yeah. That spinning back fist was
but that's not a real botch.
And so that's why the Junior Dos Santos and the thing is he was just late. That's really all it was. Yeah. It wasn't a botch in terms of
it was still a botch. A botch in time.
It was late. Yeah, and I'm not saying it wasn't a botch, but we want to point out this wasn't like normally when we use the word botch, it's like, Lance Archer landed on his head. That's a botch. Yeah. Reports have it, by the way, that Lance Archer did suffer some sort of neck injury with that, and that's why he's out for a while. So he's hoping he gets better. But Tony Khan has basically said he's not going to rush him back, and that's good. Like, let him take his time, let him actually heal. So
yeah.
We all agree on botch of the night. So now we move on to overhype of the night.
So these are the ones that I think qualify. I don't like saying any of these. I'm going to say in advance, but Christian Cage as a elite level performer. Christian Cage never put on a bad match, but you've never watched Christian Cage with the exception of the ones against Fire people. You've never seen a Christian Cage match that you went, wow, that sucked. So Christian Cage as a whole, as the person, unfortunately gets one of these. I think the other ones that fit in the overhype of the night, Ty Conti. Obviously, I think we all went into this knowing she was going to lose, and so that becomes an overhype, knowing she's going to lose. I think
in a way, you could even argue that was a botch, a storyline, a writing botch.
Yeah,
that they did not build that up to the point that we thought she had a chance of winning.
Yeah. Probably the big one for me. Probably the big one for me is the relationship for the Elite, where you had enough fear of Hangman Page that you weren't going to get involved to help your friend.
Oh, I thought that was spot on, though.
I thought it was great. Don't get me wrong. It was enough of an overhype to say overhype the night.
Well, I guess the fact is, I think they even did. I don't know if they did it on the Rampage or the Dynamite before, or Rampage before the Dynamite on Wednesday. But that convo that they had probably shouldn't have happened.
Oh, no, I 100% think it should have happened. And here's why.
No, not the way that they did it, though, because then that made me know that they weren't going to get involved. I wanted that surprise.
This is 100% why they should have done it. Here's the deal. Remember, the downfall of Hangman Page started with him asking the Young Bucks to be in his corner for a match.
Right.
And them not showing up. Right?
No, I got that.
Because that was about him not having confidence in himself and saying, I need you there to help me. I need my support system out here. And then this was him turning the corner and finally being confident in himself. More so confident that he walked up to the people that he used to need to help him and said, if you come out there, I will kick your asses. Right. That's why this storyline had to go that way. So that 100%. Now, I would have preferred him to actually follow through on that. Them show up out there and him hop the thing and just take them out. Right. But there's part of the storyline I still like about it. So I disagree with you on that there. But for me, overhype of the night, this is gonna This is about overhype that might be playing the long game, but I'm to the point where I think it's an overhype, and that is Cody Rhodes's elaborate entrance.
That's always an overhype, though. I freaking hate his entrance.
Yeah, the lights, him slowly coming up in the middle, the thing, and then all the pyro, and then him wearing that American flag themed. I mean, it kind of looks like Homelander from The Boys, the Amazon Prime series, which I'll point out Homelander is, and that might be the storyline they're telling, because Homelander is a symbol of America and freedom and all that stuff, and also a fucking asshole and not the good guy. But to people he is, because they don't know how much of a fucking asshole he is. And so if that's the storyline they're playing, it's fine. But I'm tired of that entrance.
That entrance is trash. Hated. He's not a champion. He has the most glorified entrance, and he has nothing. Kenny Omega didn't even have an entrance like that. Like, it's ridiculous. I freaking hate it. I guess it plays well. If it's playing into his ego and his fans wanting to hate him, good job. Because every time I see that entrance, I want to stab my TV. Too much? Yeah.
Nope. I'm 100% fine with that. So, because like I say, that literally could be the story that they're telling, that they want this over the top to help us be more over him and us turning on him. So that's fine, but it's still an overhype in my book, because every time it comes on, number one, I don't like the way it's set up. I've said this before on this. I prefer wrestling themes that have that first 5 seconds that hit us where you know who it is, right? And the first 20 seconds of his entrance is this like backgroundy music stuff while he comes up slowly through the lift up to the top, and then he's up there, and then you hear the drop that I want to hear at the beginning, which is the wrestling has more than one first family, royal
There's
family,
only
whatever.
one royal family.
Yeah, like just start with that. I every time he comes out and it all gets dark, I'm like, oh shit, who's out? Who's coming out? And then 20 seconds later, I'm like, ah, fuck my life.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Like, ugh.
Yeah. And so, frankly, what he should have is, do you remember the old who was it that did it in WWE? Where well, it was, I think it was Rey Mysterio's old entrance, where he was below the stage and then his music hit and he popped up onto the stage.
Yeah, Rey Mysterio. Booyaka, booyaka!
Yeah, boom! And then he jumps
Booyaka,
up onto the
booyaka!
stage.
Cody Rhodes! Booyaka, booyaka!
So what they do is the wrestling happens, and then boom, he comes flying up and lands there. Yeah, like Homelander. Anyways, that's beside the point. So that's the overhype of the night. We're gonna go on.
I get Apollo Creed when I see his outfit. I'm just like,
well, have you watched The Boys yet? Okay, that's probably why. Once you watch The Boys, you'll get Homelander, because it very obviously, I think it's inspired by Homelander. But anyways, we'll move on to worst performance of the night.
Dan Lambert.
Yeah, that might be a good one. I mean, he really did nothing. Can this guy
run away and take the loss?
I know, but at least, like, he's an MMA fighter guy. Can he not fight anymore?
Well,
what's going on? I know he's an old dude, but I mean, old dudes can still fight. Like, he acted like he was like legit. Like, I felt like who's that guy from the baseball that everyone ridiculed him and he lost his Hall of Fame? I felt like Pete Rose puts more of a fight than like Adam Lambert did.
Adam Lambert?
Wow.
Adam Lambert from Maroon 5? Wow.
My bad. What is it? What's his name again?
Dan.
Lambert. Dan Lambert. Fair enough. That's it.
So the other one that I would throw in on this,
like Drew Carey was even better from the Royal Rumble.
the other one that I would throw in on this is the Super Click, and here's why. I know people are like, they made a great match. Yeah, no. Instead of showboating, go for a fucking cover soon enough that one of the other three can't get up and put you down and break up the pin. There were like 75 broken up pins where they spent their time showboating, and that's why the other team had somebody that had enough time to recover. That's all.
I'd agree with that. The showboating was a bit much. They took it like to an even more extreme.
It's why they lost. They
Right.
should have won that match several times, but they took that showboating, which is who they are. I understand. They took that showboating to an extreme, and boom.
Yeah, it was just a bit much.
Yeah, that's the only other one that even remotely comes into that category. But yeah, Dan Lambert is still my vote.
Yeah, I will point out that as far as I know, Dan Lambert actually never fought MMA.
Oh, really?
He
just
started the gym and manages.
Okay.
And so for that standpoint, here's the I grade on a scale for worst performance of the night, and he performed the performance that he should have performed. Right.
That's fair.
Chicken shit heel who came in and showboated and all of this stuff, but only came in when they had the upper hand because all of this stuff and
Yeah.
So I would not put him as worst performance of the night.
Okay, what do you got?
Just because of that, but it does indeed make it really tough to say a worst performance overall. Like the Super Click, I understand what you're saying with that, where they're showboating and all that stuff. Yeah, just fucking do it. And everything. You know, I there's part of me that would say the Rebel and Jamie Hayter on the side worst performance. I'm kind of tired of that shtick with them. I get it. It's the chicken shit heel thing that they're supposed to do there.
I'll give one other one. Anna Jay for not showing the fuck up.
Yeah, where the fuck were you, Anna Jay? Your best friend's out there wrestling against Britt Baker and getting double, triple teamed. But, and where the fuck were you?
In fact,
huh?
I'm going to change mine. Anna Jay, show the fuck up.
Yeah, seriously. Right. And your boyfriend was out there getting beat up by the Super Click, and you didn't even show up for that either. Come on. Right?
Yeah.
Some girlfriend you are.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, that Max Callister line is so much more interesting now.
Yeah, and the Max Callister.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
Yeah.
Not bad.
Yeah, exactly. Matt Callister,
is in the impact zone doing his reps. My bad.
So, but that's it. I will say, worst performance of the night is tough because, again, almost all of these matches were really good. Like, we could say worst performance of the night, Junior Dos Santos or Andre Arlovsky or Dan Lambert. And from a legitimate standpoint, you're probably right. They were the worst performances overall. But again, they were also doing what they were supposed to do.
Dos Santos took that superplex.
Except
they did.
Dos Santos.
Yeah. That's my point, is you have to grade them on a scale because they were untrained and they did phenomenal. So, I'll give them a ton of credit for it. So
Matt Callister for not doing a better rap.
Yeah, seriously.
Orange Cassidy for not even being there.
Yeah. Where the fuck were you, Orange Cassidy?
Couldn't come out for Chris Statlander's non-existent match.
Yeah. Yeah, couldn't be there for
the best friends.
The best friends when they didn't
show up.
Okay. Yeah, okay, never mind.
It's how good a night it was, is that we're nitpicking people who weren't there for their worst performance.
That's it.
But no, I would say, as a friend, Anna Jay, you suck.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, seriously.
There's a storyline to tell. Go with it.
Yeah, exactly. In fact, who knows? Maybe that's the storyline they are telling. We'll find out this week if Ty Conti has a vignette where she's like, or a vignette even, where she's like, where were you, Anna? I was getting my ass kicked by Rebel and Jamie Hayter. Maybe.
You need a better Brazilian accent.
I wasn't even trying a Brazilian accent.
He was just trying his soft, I'm scared accent.
Yeah.
Making it seem like a woman.
I was not even going to try. I'm like, nope.
Wow.
Nope.
You just
not even
said women are scared.
He sounded like that. Hey, me.
Anybody else got a worse performance?
No, that's kind. I mean, like, I don't know.
Anna Jay for being a shitty friend.
Man, Cody Rhodes, just because I'm tired of him. Worst performance with that entrance. Ugh.
Worst performance, that vein in CM Punk's forehead that burst and just made him a bloody mess.
Oh, but that was kind of cool, though. Great performance on the vein.
It was a worse performance because it didn't do its job of holding the blood in. That's what I mean.
Oh, okay. Right. Fair enough.
You like to say one job. Veins have one job. Keep the blood in the body.
It's a valid point. One job, vein.
Yeah, seriously, vein.
That was a 2-layer fail. Skin also failed there.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. There's double layer. So we will move on to worst move.
Can I just say it? It's Dos Santos' punch. I was gonna let somebody else go.
I was sitting here trying to think, is there anything that I can argue above that? And no, there's not really anything I can. Good. I mean, worst move. MJF's ring in his tights. Continually moving through the night and making.
Yeah, he kept on like switching it. I'm like, bro, there's obviously something there. Yeah. That was probably the most predictable moment.
The entire night and the entire match, he had to keep adjusting it so it didn't fall out or didn't, I don't know, maybe encircle his boys or something. I don't know. But that's about Dos Santos being so late. And again, that's something. He was late.
He's a rookie.
He's a rookie, effectively, and frankly, right, timing on a move like that is really, really tough, right? There are
I'm sure they practiced it a dozen times and he never missed it, and then tonight he missed it.
And that's it. There's a lot of times that seasoned wrestlers.
You think they did that match a
veterans,
dozen times? That'd be
No,
crazy.
I'm saying
No,
they practice spots.
that spot. They practice big spots. I guarantee you they practice the big spot. They said, okay, here's one of the things we're going to do. I'm going to go for a lion salt. So he's going to be laying there. I'm going to run over and jump, and you need to hit me right as I'm on the ropes like this. So I'm going to jump, hit me. Boom. Jump, hit me. Boom, to make sure. But there are seasoned wrestlers who've done it for 20 years that have missed things like that, So
for sure,
timing is really tough. But that's probably the worst move. So we will move to the last of the worst overall moment.
Worst moment. Ty Conti hitting her big moves and not getting the win. Though we knew that she wasn't going to get the win, she hit both of them.
Mm-hmm.
She hit the
DD Ty and the Ty KO.
Ty KO, yeah, both of those. And I was just like, damn it.
Yeah. This is a moment. I think they should have perfected that finisher a little bit better. The DD Ty is her full-on finish. Not the DD Ty, the Ty KO, excuse me. The DD Ty is her kind of secondary finisher. So I'm fine with her hitting that and
But that was after she'd already hit a Ty KO.
Yeah, that's kind of the point. They had her hit her big finisher first and get kicked out. And so, I think having her hit the DD Ty and Britt Baker kicking out, and then she goes for the Ty KO and isn't able to hit it, right? And Britt Baker gets it. That would have been the better storyline, I would argue. So yeah, you could argue that.
Other than that, the only other moment is go for the fucking pin. Super click.
Yeah.
Those were several moments. Go for the pin.
Worst moment?
Mm-hmm.
One moment that made me fucking cringe. It's not a worst moment, but fucking tax in the mouth.
Yeah. Tax in the mouth always make me go.
What was that? Where was this?
It was
Jurassic Express.
Yeah, Jungle Boy got tax in the mouth.
Oh, snap, yes.
And then super kicked in the mouth. Double super kick.
Right. That was innovative. That was pretty cool. All three of them had that on. Pretty badass.
But also, what the fuck?
Yeah. Oh, jeez. I was going to, at one point, give a worst something to Jungle Boy for his not quite a beard, but more than just stubble look. Mostly because that's the sort of look that you start to pull off when you're trying to turn heel. You know what I mean? You're the clean cut guy, and then you start growing stubble because you're turning bad. And I don't like the idea of Jungle Boy turning bad. But then I thought about it, and I was like, you know what? I bet you he's doing No Shave November. That's what I bet.
I think he just admires Eddie Kingston. And his perpetual and CM Punk and everybody else with a perpetual 5 o'clock shadow.
Yeah, I seriously, in all honesty, I think it's No Shave November.
Because I was thinking of that too. I was like, why does he have a beard now? I'm like, is he going to turn heel? I did think that though.
Yep, and that's the deal. And I was thinking that, and then I thought to myself the other day, I was like, oh, wait a second. I don't remember it 2 weeks ago. I do not remember it on 2 weeks ago's Rampage.
I'll give you a worse moment. Something that's different. Adam Page did not kick out to the One-Winged Angel. He did not get hit by the One-Winged Angel.
Yes.
And he hit the One-Winged Angel somebody else kicked out of.
Yes, that was something that I think all of us were expecting him to be the first one to kick out of the One-Winged Angel. And he did not
even get it on him. Well, he countered it once. And then that's it.
Once and then hit Omega with the One-Winged Angel, which he's hit Omega before with the One-Winged Angel, and Omega kicks out, which I guess tells the storyline, that the only person who can truly hit it right is Omega, and that's fine. But it's one of those things. I was really expecting that to be the shock moment of that match, where Omega finally hits the One-Winged Angel,
which has us still sitting back going, well, who the fuck's going to kick out of the One-Winged Angel?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, well, it might be Suzuki Okada.
Yeah, it might be a cut. To be perfectly honest, there's one guy, he's out injured right now in New Japan. But if this New Japan Forbidden Door actually comes to, which I think it's more than likely to happen now, be completely open, is Kota Ibushi, who actually legitimately did kick out of it in New Japan. We just don't recognize it in AEW. So I think that's going to be what ends up happening. Kota Ibushi is right now injured. So guess they're not going to do that anytime soon. But,
and I mean, so is technically Kenny Omega. He was playing with an injury during that match. So
yeah, that was going to be on one of my best lists, but we'll talk about it here. Reports have been out for a while that Kenny Omega was working injured, that he had some nagging injuries here and there on it. But the report came out now that it's more than a nagging injury. It's a shoulder injury that will likely require surgery, and that he could barely lift anything. And to say that and then put on that match with Kenny Omega or with Hangman Page, and get Hangman Page up for a one-winged angel one time, and do all those dragon suplexes and all that stuff with a shoulder that might need surgery, that's pretty big deal. So we probably will not see Kenny Omega for a while, or at least for a while he'll be only in
vignettes or backstage stuff
or stuff like that. But so we'll move on. We're finally to the best of list. Best moment of the night.
Well, because I know you cheese dicks are all going to say Adam Page winning, I'm going to go with something different.
Okay. Go ahead and do your something different so us cheese dicks can say Adam Page winning.
I'm going to go with Luchasaurus's
backflip off the
shooting star press.
Was it a shooting star press? Or was it just a backflip? It was a shooting star press.
Shooting
Snap.
star press.
Yeah, that was pretty epic. I'm gonna have to go with that MJF match, that rolling around, that pure wrestling that was going on in that ring. I feel like this is the best I've seen MJF. This is the best I've seen Darby doing a wrestling match for the most part. He had a few spots here and there. But that moment of, I guess, them countering each other's pins and then rolling around together in a ball, for me, still kind of takes best moment, especially to begin the show. I don't know if that match was in the middle, if I would have made it the best moment from everything I've seen, but that certainly prepared me for greatness for the rest of the night. So I'm going to have to go with the counters that both men had delivered, more specifically the rolling ball effect that they did during that match.
I really liked that, but that by far was not the best moment. That might have been the best moves, right?
I will also give it, there's an honorable mention. I must just make sure that you don't give it to Adam Page clean.
Mm-hmm.
Ready? Jungle Boy deciding to do the concerto. I'm man enough to handle giving somebody a concerto.
Yeah, maybe.
Adam Page winning.
Adam Page winning is still my best moment. Because again, that's the culmination of 2 years of storytelling, and to me, all the storytelling,
the entire
that
brand
moment
has been built around.
Right. All of that storytelling and all of that stuff culminating in this was the best moment by far of the night. But that's saying that there were a lot of really good moments in this night. Yeah. Miro passing out to Bryan Danielson's was it a triangle that he put on?
Miro getting the gut wrench power
bomb out of the leg lock. Yeah, that thing was fucking mint, man. That was like, if I wasn't on a time schedule, I would have rewatched that 5 times. Just because. What?
Miro's power countering Bryan Danielson was just gold the whole night.
Yeah, there was a whole lot of that. I mean, there were moments in the CM Punk match that you could argue might be best moment. Like I said, he I think he's leaning into this character that they've started to establish. Maybe not a full heel turn, but they've started to establish with Eddie Kingston feud, and they can easily continue it with some other people as they bring in some other former WWE people. This effectively, CM Punk is the John Cena right now, right? The John Cena of AEW in many ways. The guy who's been around, everyone loves him and all this stuff, but people don't think he has it. He's kind of a part-timer, all of this stuff. And so kind of leaning into that and actually doing John Cena's 5 moves of doom, right? Because he did the shoulder tackle, the whatever it was, the I'm trying to remember all the 5 moves because I haven't seen a John Cena match in a while. The power slam thing. Popped up and did the arm up in the air, just like John Cena, and looked around like he was about to go do. Yeah, just like he's about to do that. He was doing all that stuff, and to me, that's leaning into this kind of storyline that he while he was playing the part of the I'm against the establishment John Cena guy, that he was actually the John Cena guy in the background, and now having him play that part. And so, but in the end, for me, best moment of the night was all of that. Not even hitting the buckshot lariats. It wasn't the finish was the best moment. It was the and
victory.
New
Yeah.
AEW World Champion Adam Hangman Page, that moment, and then all of the Dark Order coming out to celebrate with him.
Sure.
Yeah.
All of that stuff, to me, best moment of the night. But again, this night was filled with lots of good moments, right? So you can say a lot of things. And we'll even say you could even argue all of the Eddie tributes could be argued were best moments, right? But for me,
well, that Jericho one was nice too. Yeah,
the frog splash.
Yeah.
The Cody Rhodes putting was it Cody Rhodes put the figure 4 on and then let Pac tag in to do the frog splash.
Yes.
Just like, Eddie, all of those things there were a whole lot of them, throughout the entire night.
And even in the post-media scrum, CM Punk was talking about how journalists asked how if he went to talk to Vicky Guerrero, he said he just gave a hug, but then he said, it's pretty crazy though, just out of pure coincidence, I was facing an Eddie at the show, and then having the fans chant Eddie, 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 all I was kind of thinking of was Eddie Guerrero in that moment, kind of thing. So that was pretty cool to hear Punk describe that on the post-media scrum. So
I mean, there was even the FTR versus Lucha Brothers match. There was a moment where I think it was Dax was doing the Three Amigos, and Penta was able to get out of it and turned around and was like, nope, I'm going to show you how it's done. And he did the Three Amigos.
Yeah.
Right. All of those things, those were definitely worth talking about in best moment. But like I said, for me, it all storyline wise and all culminating in Adam Page winning was
culmination.
Yeah. But so we will move on to breakout star of the night. Now, again, this is not someone who's established. This is someone who showed more than what they were showed before, and so, I mean, you could argue that MJF showed more, and so maybe he was a breakout star, but like you can't say Britt Baker was the breakout star because she's already established as a star. You can't say.
I'm gonna say the one and only. There are 2 options here. I think one of them potentially could be Jungle Boy, but I think the actual breakout star is Miro. I think the moment Miro had that was a breakout moment was getting out of what looked like a very intensely painful lock. His knee was going the correct direction for it to actually be a submission. Usually when they're doing that, they have the knee bent. And you're like, oh, okay, you're not actually hurting them. And the knee was not bent. It was straight and hyperextending and looked painful. And he took it into a powerbomb. got Rich Powerbomb. So that's my breakout star of the night. In losing, this is why Smarks was right. In losing, Miro is more over than he would have been beating Bryan Danielson.
Mm-hmm. And a lot of it's the way he lost. Now, I'm also going to point out Bryan Danielson, in all of his AEW matches, I do not think he's repeated the same finisher yet.
Yeah.
He's
maybe a couple of bell locks.
He also did talk about that in the post-media scrum as well. He mentioned that this whole stigma of having a finisher is fairly recent, and that back in the day, he was mentioning examples like Luthez. He would never necessarily do the same finish. He's like, and that's something I want to bring back. He's like, because although a lot of the newer fans believe that's a thing, he's like, it's really not, and it creates more of a surprise to when the match does end, and it's not your typical finisher. It's done.
Well, I think to his point, finishers always have existed in professional wrestling, but they didn't show in every match, right? The finisher was the thing that someone pulled out when everything else didn't work. Okay, this is my last ditch effort. This thing works, right? So yeah, it was something that, it's relatively recent that a finisher is hit all the time. Like, Roman
Last
Reigns
30 years.
Roman Reigns is always going to do his Uwa spear, whatever, or now his guillotine lock, whatever. He's got the finisher. That's the thing now. But yeah, way back in the day, finishers were not used in every match. In fact, but I mean, a lot has changed. Way back in the day, you didn't see the stars wrestle except for on the pay-per-views, right? The stars would wrestle nobodies on the weekly shows leading up to the pay-per-view. The only time that they wrestled star versus star was pay-per-view, right? And now we get star versus star all the time because the industry has changed. But no, I just like that Bryan Danielson is finding a way to win, not relying on the same thing every time. And it's really interesting because it tells the story of now he's this guy who you don't have one thing to look out for. You've got dozens of things, right? He can beat you a dozen different ways, and so it's not just about finding the way to beat one thing, because as soon as you find the way to beat that one thing, he's got something else. Oh, he found a way to beat the label lock. Well, that's fine. He's going to triangle choke you out,
Exactly.
Oh, you found a way to beat the triangle choke? Well, that's totally fine. He's going to guillotine you this time, or whatever, So, but no, the Miro is a very good choice for that. I mean, it's like hard to argue. I thought Ty Conti looked pretty good in her match, but it's hard to argue that she was the breakout star because she was in a championship match,
Yeah. Yeah, I think getting to the championship match was her breakout moment. And in 2-3 years, we'll see her win a title.
Yeah. I would argue that maybe in terms of in-ring work and all that, to a lot of people, the breakout star might be Eddie Kingston. Because he hasn't had a whole lot of solo work in AEW. And for a lot of people, they don't know any of his other work. So to see him do this match and stand toe-to-toe with CM Punk and make CM Punk bleed and almost win a couple times and just barely lose. It's going to be interesting to see how they go with that storyline, but I think Miro looks better out of it. So I would not disagree with Miro on this.
I don't think that storyline's over. That CM Punk Eddie
no. I don't think that's over. Like I said, it's going to be interesting to see if they lean into, like I'm suspicioning, lean into the CM Punk was the John Cena of his time, or is this going to be the start of a heel turn for Eddie Kingston, because he did refuse the show of respect handshake at the end. Is this going to be, we're going to see a darker Eddie Kingston? Who knows? We'll see. I would like to point out something that I'm surprised didn't come up in worst moments for DA Fabe. I just thought of it, but worst moment of the night was not Jay Lethal being announced AEW All Elite.
I'm so not talking about it. That's how bad.
However, Jay Lethal, Sammy Guevara on Dynamite. Whoa, I'm excited.
Yeah, I'm excited to see Jay Lethal get fucking buried right away. And accept the fact that he's 87 years old and he shouldn't be wrestling. I mean, dude is small, ingrown, and his prime was 12 years ago. It's Kevin Nash winning the Impact
Wow.
the TNA Championship.
I mean, I'm going to point out he's only 36, so it's not like he's
he's still kind of young.
He's still 12 years past his prime.
Wow.
He's injury prone. I'm just I don't want to see it.
I know you've never been
unless you're Black Machismo. I don't want to see it.
Well, I will
You're
point
not
out he did
Black
come
Machismo.
out. I will point out he came out to Black Machismo music though.
Did he? Okay.
Yeah, the music he came out to was the Black Machismo, the variation on Pomp and Circumstance that he used for Black Machismo. So
that's great. Fuck that.
And his whole El Shivani kind of thing was Black Machismo-esque. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I just had to bring it up because we didn't bring it up earlier, and I knew it would get that look on
I don't want it. It's not that I loved him in TNA. I really did. And he got injured, and he stopped doing the Black Machismo, and it's over now, man. Like,
but
I don't like him anymore, and I feel bad that I don't like him anymore.
Did he break your heart? He broke your heart.
I'm only gonna break your
I turned
heart.
on ROH, and I'm like, oh yeah, like I was excited the first time I turned on ROH. I was like, oh, Jay Lethal's the champ. Who the fuck is this guy? This isn't Black Machismo. This is the shithead he was after he was Black Machismo in Impact.
I will argue that he was ROH champ for far too freaking long, but I still enjoyed his work
for a while too.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah,
it's nothing against ROH.
So, I also wanted to point out that there was a guest in the crowd that they talked about at one point, and
the claw dude.
Yeah, Baron von Rausch, or Raschke, excuse me, Baron von Raschke. And I want to point out that he was born here in Omaha, Nebraska. He's a Nebraska boy.
Baron von Raschke from Nebraska.
Mm-hmm.
I was going to point out, I wish I had my "Who the fuck is this" shirt because I had no fucking clue.
Well, I mean, he is known as the first NWA television champion.
Oh shit! Okay.
So,
and the current NWA television champion played football in Nebraska.
Mm-hmm. So, he had a brief stint in the late '80s in WWF as the manager for the Barbarian and the Wardlord, the Powers of Pain.
Oh, okay.
So he was in there. I just when I saw him, I was like, I'm pretty sure that's one of the Nebraska wrestlers. But his big thing was in the AWA in the 1960s and 70s. That's when he was really.
Oh, okay.
But he, what is it? March of 1977, he wrestled WWF World Heavyweight Champion Bruno Sammartino for the title at Madison Square Garden.
Oh, well, that's an accomplishment for sure. Damn.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
All right.
But so they had him. I mean, he's legitimately a wrestling legend, although most wrestling fans today wouldn't know anything about him.
Right.
And in fairness, I had to look him up on Wikipedia just to make sure he was the guy I was thinking of, because.
Well, I mean, popular in the 60s and 70s, like Jesus,
Yeah, I'll point out that Madison Square Garden match that I mentioned was still before I was born. So,
okay, fair enough.
And that's considered his most high-profile match. So,
oh wow, okay,
because it was for the WWF title.
Fair.
He also lost it though. So that says something. But anyways, he also, I will point out, has the dumbest finisher in the history of wrestling. The Iron Claw. I'm gonna grab your head and I don't know, hurt it somehow.
His hands could squeeze. Yeah, it worked. What's his face looked like he was just out of it completely.
Yeah.
I don't know who it was. I think it was one of the. I think it was DeSantos. Well, to be fair, I think DeSantos needed that because he missed Jericho's little maneuver there, so he needed a little brain cells to be kicked out.
So
Maneuver.
But so we will go ahead and go ahead. What's your
well, I mean, before I was just going to be rudely ignored for my opinion.
Well, you talk so much and don't say anything. I kind of forgot that you hadn't answered it.
Ironically, you do the same.
Don't say anything. God, that's savage right there.
Ironically, he does the same.
I feel like Jay Lethal was right here in the room just going, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna say some shit, motherfucker."
But my kudos would have to go to Miro because I really appreciated Miro's work in the Bryan match. But also, I definitely have to go back to MJF. I thought this was the best I have seen MJF in the ring since his inception into AEW.
I will agree. I think this was his best wrestling match.
Yeah.
But wrestling was never MJF's strong suit. That
no, it is.
I still think you put MJF versus
still his best strong suit.
Yeah. I still think you put MJF versus Bryan Danielson. And MJF will look good because Bryan Danielson makes everyone look good, but you won't come away from it saying MJF wrestled a hell of a match. So he still has a long way to go. But I'm not going to take that away from you. He can be your breakout star of the night. That's fine.
I wasn't asking for your approval, but thank you.
Okay, we're going to move on to best line of the night.
Line
of
yes.
the night.
Is this new? I feel like we never did a best line.
I think we did it in one of the recent ones, and I decided to keep it in because I think it was suggested by DA Fave after Paul Heyman said something in one of the recent WWE pay-per-views, so I kept it in.
Fair enough.
It's fair.
And in fairness, I probably should take it out for this one because there weren't a lot. They didn't have like interviews during the show. Really, there weren't. Best line of the night. JR calling him Daniel Bryan. Maybe not.
Oh, did he say that?
Yep.
Yep. JR sure did.
What was with Taz's whole thing? With scouting, did that ever come to fruition? Did I miss something with that? Because I felt like he just.
It will.
Yeah, it will. That was planting seeds, I'm sure.
Okay.
Taz is trying to increase the size of FTW and get some new people there, or it's just scouting so that when someone challenges Ricky Starks, they have the knowledge. I don't know.
Fair.
But.
Best line. Oh, there was something in the post-media scrum that Tony Khan had mentioned that he liked that Shivani had said. Oh, I don't remember. I think the best line of the night was when Excalibur gave, or it might have been JR. JR was quick on it. They're like, oh, well, that's Darby Allin coming out. And JR, who is that? And JR was like, Tony, who's that other guy coming out? Yeah. It's Sting! Love that. That was dope.
Yeah, he definitely fed it to him. So, come on, you say it. Say it.
Say it. And hey, kudos to JR. It has been, he did announce as well that he does have like back skin cancer as well, and the guy is still there doing his best on commentating with AEW. He's there every week, so just wanted to give also a kudos to JR. He's still quick with it, so much love and respect as always for JR, especially with everything he's going through now. So kudos to you, good old JR. Kudos to you.
Yeah, I don't know. They're like I said, we're gonna have to go with something. The announcer, I guess I'll say the best line is Justin Roberts announcing Kenny Omega as being from Winnipeg, Manitoba, Canada, and not North Carolina.
He did though in the ring, I think.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. He said that, and that's why I'm giving it to him, because he said not North Carolina specifically. He's from Winnipeg, not North Carolina, because they're still using that to give it to fucking Cornette.
Oh, fair enough.
Fuck Cornette.
Not Cornette.
Best line of the night, fuck Cornette. Smart just now.
I really should make a shirt from that, knowing full well that that Cornette will sue. He sued Joey Janela for a shirt that said something similar. So.
I feel like we should make a shirt that says Core Nets and just have like a hardcore sign wrapped in a net or something. Core Nets. No. Okay. Never mind. I thought it was cool. Carry on.
Not in love with it.
Yeah.
Not in love with it?
Not
Fair enough.
it, but not in love with it.
Duly noted.
So we will go ahead and move on to the next one. Best performance of the night.
Fuck, I don't know. Who do I give the very best to? That's the question right now.
Yeah, I mean, it is a tough one. Like, MJF put on the best wrestling match of his night of his career so far, but was it the best performance?
That's it. Yeah.
Hangman Page won the thing, but was it his best performance? I would argue that a lot of the stuff leading up to him winning, but not necessarily him winning, was his best performance. The whole "I don't believe in myself" thing.
Well, I mean, keep in mind, it's best performance of the night, so we're not basing it off what they've done before.
That's my point. That's why I would say all that stuff before was his better performance. Of the night, was that the best performance? Miro? I mean,
Bryan Danielson
or Miro? I think.
No. CM Punk, Eddie Kingston.
Give it to them both.
They finished and told a new story all at the same time.
I can't argue with that. I was saying the Bryan Danielson Miro because it told the story of power versus technical prowess, and it told it really well, and Miro still looked like a fucking monster at the end of it, despite losing,
Yeah. That's gotta be Miro.
Yeah, so
that's gotta be Miro.
So those would be my choices, either or,
Yeah, I'd probably go with Kingston Punk, though. I guess more so Kingston, but I guess Punk with this whole John Cena references was pretty dope too. But just now we're finally, and I'm always talking about the post-media scrum, but CM Punk did mention a story about how a lot of what was said with Kingston was true. And he's like, look, the guy after his match, he'll go out until 3 a.m. in the morning. Me, I'll go back to my hotel room and stretch and to get ready for my next matchup next week. Oh, Brian said that, actually. I feel like Daniel Bryan had said that, if I'm not mistaken. Bryan or CM Punk. One of the two had said it. And I hope that with these wrestlers digging into him, he does finally get it. Like, hey, bro, you're awesome in the ring. You just have to be that awesome outside of it as well, and you will be the next superstar. So here's to just thinking that, hey, maybe he is following their lead with that now. And I think this is the best Eddie Kingston I have seen. So Yeah, I think I'm gonna have to go with Eddie Kingston.
Yeah. I mean, that's more or less why he was my nomination for breakout star of the night. It's just because this is literally the best, especially in ring Eddie Kingston we've seen. Like, we knew he could talk, but in an actual ring, and I'm not
That's
talking
it.
about skill, but performance overall.
Mhm.
You know, he did a great, showed stuff that we haven't seen before from him. I just think the Miro Daniel Bryan match as a whole told so much. But I'm gonna point out Daniel Bryan, for someone a self-proclaimed not Daniel Bryan fan.
He's as good as I've ever seen.
He's as good as I've ever seen him. That match on Rampage the other night. Who was he against on Rampage? It was fucking just a technical marvel.
Fudge. It was Rampage, you're saying?
Yes. It was on this week's Go Home Rampage.
Damn.
Let's see if I can find. Because it started.
Wasn't Dante.
Was it Rampage? No, maybe it wasn't Rampage.
I don't think it was Rampage.
Okay, it must have been Dynamite. So I thought it was Rampage, but it was. Let me find Dynamite because I gotta remember who it was, because it was one of those matches where I watched it and I was like, holy fucking shit, this thing. Rocky Romero, that's what it was.
Oh yeah, that was good.
It was just fucking technically flawless. It was hold after hold, catch wrestling back and forth. It was phenomenal. And I haven't seen a ton of Rocky Romero matches because he mostly wrestled in New Japan, right? Did a stint in Ring of Honor as well, but didn't watch a ton of them there. But he impressed the crap out of me. But then watching him with Bryan Danielson, I was like, holy shit, this match here. It was a pay-per-view quality match opening up a episode of Dynamite.
Right.
And with no build-up whatsoever. And most people didn't know who Rocky Romero was at all. Period. Right.
Yep.
I will point out that was also building this future, the Forbidden Doors wide open thing, because it started off with the storyline that the best friends, Orange Cassidy, Chucky T, I'm assuming Trent,
chaos.
are part of Kazuchika Okada's Chaos stable. Now are officially been invited by him to join Chaos, and that can only, in my mind, mean that we're going to see Kazuchika Okada in AEW soon, and possibly some members of AEW in New Japan in one of these here.
The key is they are mentioning the active stable somewhere else.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So it's
not just the wrestler, but the stable.
Yeah.
And Kazuchika Okada has got a match coming up for the with Tanahashi, I think it's Tanahashi, who's the current current New Japan World Champion. And then Ospreay has challenged the winner of that because he claims to be the real New Japan champion. You know what I mean? Because he had the belt and then they took it off him because he couldn't defend it. And then Kazuchika Okada recently. It's Takagi Shingo, who's the current one. That's right. But yeah, they've got a match, Shingo Takagi versus.
I can tell you, we will only get face-to-face number 1 PWI wrestler in the world versus number 2 PWI wrestler in the world through the Forbidden Door getting opened.
Mm-hmm. But
so best performance of the night. Gotta give it to somebody. Adam Page.
It's hard to argue against that. It'd be hard to argue against Kenny Omega best performance of the night, because he proved again why he's called the best bout machine. especially knowing now that he was wrestling with a bum shoulder the whole time, right?
Correct.
But it's really hard to argue against that. Looks like we had lost JLB for a second, but he should be back now.
I'm back. Yeah, my bad.
So,
My badass hands are too fat. My bad. I accidentally clicked the stop button.
So yeah.
Did you super click something?
Didn't. Well, I guess that's why you're not a stand-up comedian. Didn't.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, it's hard to not say Hangman Page or Kenny Omega, just because of their match and all that stuff. But I mean, there's a ton of phenomenal performances, performances. So this was such a good show. You know, we could argue back and forth as to whether this was the best AEW pay-per-view of the year. I
think it was too busy. That's the only reason I say
that might be that's a legitimate criticism of it. I can say, however, that this is still better than almost every WWE pay-per-view of the year.
Yeah, and will be better than next week's pay-per-view.
Yeah,
I think WWE is at a point where they're trying to be right after AEW's pay-per-views, and
they're trying.
I don't find that as a wise decision. We're the closing brand.
Their tactic is let's see what AEW does and then try to one up them, but it's going to be fucking hard to one up this, right?
Yeah. You might
well, I don't know if you start using Ricochet, if you start using Tozawa, if you start using Kevin Owens, if you start putting on another Seth Rollins.
I really don't understand your heart on for Tozawa.
Dude, he's phenomenal talent. If you let him do what he needs to do in that ring, you'll get an amazing superstar.
He's really good. I'm not arguing that. I don't think anyone but you would put him up against Kenny Omega or
in the category with Ricochet.
Ricochet, even, yeah, he's good, but Ricochet has the potential to, being used well, be a world title holder in some place. I do not see Tozawa ever as world title holder in any of the promotions, period.
Well, either way, you're going to use him. I mean, he doesn't have to be in comparison to the Kenny Omega match, but I mean, if it was in comparison to maybe, I don't know, the Luchasaurus match or something like that, you can. It depends, right? If you get Tozawa versus Ricochet, that could be a fire match. If you get Ricochet versus Seth, fire match. So, I mean, they just have to start using their wrestlers more. The WWE has amazing talent. They're just not using them properly or using them at all.
I mean, I would agree with that. I still, even with their talent and all that stuff, I have a hard time believing that they could even put together a pay-per-view that would come close to this one. Right, period.
Well, I mean, you got to start somewhere. You know what I mean? I don't know. This is starting from scratch because they're not using anybody. Maybe because is it officially a triple threat match yet? No. Kevin Owens is in the Survivor Series match. So, I mean, not with the card they have now. It's not going to be comparable.
I'm going to say it from this standpoint because I want to make it clear that this isn't about the talent that they have. This is about the WWE process. I do not think the WWE process, the WWE mentality can make a pay-per-view that would stand up to this. Even with their talent, they have this, like, every WWE match has the same sort of feel, the same sort of, the way the beats, the storytelling goes, all of this stuff. It's the WWE way. And that, I think, is what holds them back. They're too formulaic. They're too ritualized. And it doesn't matter who they stick in it. The fact that they program, and the thing is, they're doubling down on it. It's the whole reason this whole NXT 2.0 thing is happening. This is WWE saying, hey, we're tired of our matches, of all of these independent wrestlers coming in and trying to wrestle an independent match. We want them to be our matches. So let's go instead find football players that we can turn into wrestlers rather than independent wrestling stars that we have to try to teach our way to.
Right.
And because of that, I think WWE will always struggle when it comes to wrestling. Now, storytelling wise, we can argue back and forth on, right? WWE has told phenomenal stories over the years. But when it comes to in-ring wrestling matches, no matter how talented their wrestlers are, they're never going to put on a Bryan Danielson versus Miro match, right? They had both of those wrestlers. They wrestled matches against each other. They never wrestled this match against each other.
It's an answer you can't answer, though.
Mm-hmm.
Because, again, if you have, they have the wrestlers that can do that. I've seen perhaps maybe a better Daniel Bryan match happen in WWE maybe a while ago, but they have done it.
I would argue against that. Every Bryan Danielson match in AEW I've seen is a different Bryan Danielson.
It's better than what we had before.
Better than what we've seen in WWE. But I'm going to point out, let's take the Bryan Danielson out of it. Cody Rhodes, Pac, Malachi Black, and Andrade. All of them former WWE guys. All of them put on a better match here than...
Oh, absolutely. All of them were utilized.
Andrade was better in NXT.
That's why I'm going to point out I'm talking WWE, their main product, right? Because they've always considered NXT developmental, regardless of what they've said. NXT was developmental, and it was always the second tier. It was the redheaded stepchild, right? And so, because you had Andrade in NXT who was fucking fire, and then they pull him up to the main roster and they make him start doing the WWE product. Because in NXT, they let him still be an independent wrestler, but they come up to the main roster and they make him do the WWE product. And it's the same thing with Malachi Black. When he came up, Aleister Black, he was fire in NXT, and then he comes up, and what do? And then he goes to AEW, and instantly, within days, he's fucking fire, again. Right? Cody Rhodes has put on better matches since leaving WWE than he ever did in WWE. And Pac, I don't think he was wasted in 205 Live. They had him. They had this talent. And they're like, yeah, we're going to have you lose to fucking Enzo.
Maverick or Enzo. Yeah, that was it.
And so that's my point. It's not about the wrestlers in WWE. That's why I want to make this point clear. WWE has all the talent in the world, right?
Yeah.
It's the way they use them. It's the WWE way. And because of that, I don't care what talent they have. I don't think they can put on a pay-per-view that rivals this from a wrestling standpoint.
Because
now, again,
writing talent.
Yeah. You can talk about storylines. They're writing some great storylines. This storyline with Roman and Paul Heyman is great, right?
Yeah.
But as great as the storyline is, the matches in the ring still fall short of this level because they have to follow the WWE way. And that's what's holding them back. So we're going to move on, though, to underhype of the night, because I know DA Fabe is probably struggling right about now. I'm struggling, and I have to get up tomorrow to report to my first day of work at my new job. And so I'm kind of like...
So let's go.
Yeah, so underhype of the night. Let's go.
Underhype, as in I thought it was going to be bad, but it ended up being good.
Underhype could be that, or it could be this was the match they didn't talk about and it was great.
Okay.
Right? They didn't hype this and it turned out to be a great match. Right?
MJF Derby. They did technically hype it. I guess I underhyped it because I didn't think MJF could pull the kind of match that he did.
That's fair.
Yeah,
I'll go with mine. I think underhype of the night, the Lucha Brothers versus FTR match, because I fucking forgot that they were even doing this match on the pay-per-view. Like I know they built the storyline, but it got lost in all the shuffle. You know, Danielson versus Miro for the winner of the Eliminator tournament, the number 1 contender match. Hangman Page versus Kenny Omega for the world title. Oh, that's great. The Inner Circle versus the America's Top Team and Men of the Year. Right, that dominated the storylines there. CM Punk versus Eddie Kingston. Oh, dominated storylines. You know, all of this stuff. The Super Click was the big thing here. In the end, this tag team championship match versus the current AEW tag team title holders and the current AAA tag team title holders, I forgot was happening on this show.
Yeah. And it was a fire match.
It was a great match, yeah.
Great match.
And so it was like one of those where it's like, oh shit, this match is happening. We're doing this. We're fucking doing this. Okay.
There was no piss breaks. I think that was an issue. It was just too much. It was great, but it was too much.
Well, that's why I said 9 total matches on the main card. I think they would have been better off with 7. But again, looking at this lineup, which ones do you cut? Right? Like, I guess if I were doing it, I probably wouldn't have done the Cody and Pac versus Malachi Black and Andrade. But then I'd feel bad because Malachi Black and Andrade deserve to be on this pay-per-view. You know, so what do you cut? Do you cut the CM Punk match? Well, no, you can't. That's their golden goose right now. So let's keep that on. Cut the Inner Circle versus Men of the Year match. Maybe
you want the but you want the MMA stardom there. But if anything, you could have done that at Rampage. If anything, Con, if you're gonna have 9 matches, make your Rampage before like your pay-per-view. Because honestly, I'm thinking 4 hours is too much. That's almost WWE WrestleMania level where I'm tired. I'm tired of WWE's 4 hours because it's garbage. Yeah. I'm tired of AEW's 4 hours because it's overwhelming.
I didn't get tired of this at all. Overwhelmed maybe, but I didn't ever get tired. However, maybe, and this having not watched it live, this plan, but I don't know, maybe started a little earlier, so it's not going till fucking 12.
Went to 12:30 for me. Yeah, like,
you know.
Yeah, it was long. It was long.
So,
I don't know. Like, I don't know if Fight has a replay or not.
Yeah.
If I can actually watch it, replay it.
They do now.
They do. They better.
But I don't know specifically on Canada because it wasn't available live on Fight. In America, you could only order it pay-per-view or Bleacher Report.
Right.
But they did put up the replay on Fight now.
Which I would get if I paid for the pay-per-view originally.
If you bought it on Fight, you should be able to watch the replay, I believe.
Oh,
should be available for you. So,
okay, because that's now what I'm scared of. Because if it's going to be 4 hours like this, at some point I'm gonna, not that I'm losing interest in what's going on, I'm just overwhelmed. It's maybe a bit too late. It's maybe, I don't know. It's just over-drenched book. It's not a negative thing. It's just too much. I don't know. I feel bad for even saying that, but it's just like I need a break or something. Give me an intermission. At least Hamilton gave you an intermission at some point. You know what I mean? Give me an intermission for like AEW or something. Like, give me a little break, or make Rampage something or whatever have you. You know? Like,
I mean, here's the thing. What they needed to do a little bit more of, if for this, that would probably do this, is a vignette segment, right? Let's say after
but they did.
Well, they did something, but none of them like long enough, right? But that's my point.
Well,
like,
then I would have been till 1 then.
Yeah. Maybe after the Christian Cage and Jurassic Express versus Super Click match, have a 20-minute or 15-minute long, like recap. I mean, it's one of the things WWE does that sometimes frustrates me, but it is still pretty good. About halfway through a pay-per-view, they kind of recap what happened. It's too long, but they recap what happened for 10 minutes or something like that to give you a chance to be like, okay, they're doing this. Let's go pee. Let's do some stuff. Let's go to the kitchen and get some more snacks or whatever. Let's down a Red Bull so I have the energy for the rest of this shit show or whatever. But no, like I said, to me, it wasn't that it was too long. It was just overwhelming. But that's why I say the tough thing.
But that's why I think I thought it was too long, because I was just overwhelmed and my body and mind couldn't take it anymore.
But then, like I said, though, I look at this card and I think, what would I cut? What would I cut?
Well, it's not about cutting. It's just about putting some on Rampage or saving some for your next Dynamite. Like, it's not a bad thing either. People are still going to watch.
You don't have the ability to present these matches the same way on Rampage or Dynamite. You don't, right? MJF versus Darby Allin went for 22 minutes. That would have had at least 2, if not 3 commercial breaks in it. Do you want 3 commercial breaks in MJF versus Darby Allin?
You pay to not have the commercial breaks. Tony Khan says he has enough money as Vince does. You pay to not have the commercial breaks.
You can't do that.
Not all the time. You only have a pay-per-view every 2 months.
Again, and this is why pay-per-views exist. Pay-per-views exist so you can have the match without commercial breaks.
Right.
That's the whole point of it. So any of these, I don't see any of these are all pay-per-view level matches.
Or give me a 2-nighter. I wouldn't mind doing a 2-nighter for what AEW gives me here. This I wouldn't mind because it's 2 nights of pure amazingness. I'd be down.
But then you have 2 nights of 2 hours, so then they've got to add stuff to it. You know what I mean?
Not necessarily. No, you have a 2-hour pay-per-view per night.
No, you can't do 2-hour pay-per-views. That's gonna people are just gonna absolutely lambaste you for that.
You think
pay-per-views have to be longer than your main product, period. Yes. Right. And and that's where part of the problem with WWE being 3 hours on Monday is it means their pay-per-views have to be longer than 3 hours. Otherwise, if WWE puts out a 2.5 hour long pay-per-view, and they've done this before, and we on this very show lambasted them for it. Because we're like, that pay-per-view was shorter than an episode of Raw, right?
They have. Yep.
They have done that. And we've talked about it. So they can't do a 2 hour long pay-per-view. So you have to.
Not if it's the quality of wrestling that we get, though. If you give me one night, you give me MJF and you give me the Lucha Express match, and you give me the tag match, and you give me the Britt Baker final.
Not
I'd be a happy camper.
Especially remember in America, at least, there's no subscription service that you can do to get this without paying for it. So in America, to pay for it to watch it live, you're paying $50. You cannot do 2 $50 pay-per-views.
No, you do 2 $29.99 pay-per-views.
But here's the deal: the price for pay-per-views is not set by the AEW.
Oh.
The price for pay-per-views is set by the cable providers, right? Because that's what they need to make the thing make money, right? And that's why when WWE moved to the streaming service and we're able to just start including them, it basically killed their pay-per-view business, because you still had to buy the pay-per-views for $49.99. Or you could pay $9.99 a month and get it for free on the WWE network.
Mm-hmm.
What flavor of chips are you eating?
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm eating Eggos.
Eggos aren't chips.
Those are crunchy Eggos.
I toast them to pure crunchy perfection.
Anyway, but that's my point is, if they cut this in half, then they would have had to have padded some things out to make it longer, to make it so that, and even if we didn't say anything, I'm talking the internet wrestling community as a whole would not stand for 2 2-hour pay-per-views back to back. In fact, if they did that, I guarantee you, most of the things would be like, why did we have 2 2-hour pay-per-views? We could have had it all in one night. Right? WWE had a 7-hour pay-per-view in WrestleMania before.
And then they had to make it 2 nights because
they decided to make it 2 nights because people were pissed. Yes, but that still ended up being 2 3+ hour pay-per-views, right? And that works,
but
right?
WWE made it cheaper though. Each night wasn't $60. They made it $39.99. So to your whole cable scenario, they could have done that too. AEW can easily do that. I don't think that's a thing.
It 100% is a thing, but in the end, it comes down to WWE has 30 years of history in pay-per-views that they can point to and say, this is the way our pay-per-views perform. And that gives them leverage with the networks to do it in the pay-per-view cards. In fact, WWE has 30 years of relationship with the pay-per-view companies that do it. WWE founded the concept of in-home pay-per-view wrestling events.
That's fair.
They didn't exist before WWE, right? And so AEW doesn't have the sort of leverage that WWE has to do things like that. But in the end, WWE also has the network as leverage, right? They can say, hey, we're doing a 2-night WrestleMania, but instead of charging the full amount, you need to charge less. And if the cable network say, no, we're going to charge the $59.99, WWE can say, well, that's fine. We're just going to tell all of our fans to subscribe to the network and get it for $10.
A month?
A month, yeah.
Valid point.
AEW doesn't have that streaming service. So,
other
hype of the night from DFA.
Yeah, you ready?
Yeah.
Ty Conti.
I agree. That was a phenomenal match.
Yeah.
That match was great.
And did not get any hype. And had it gotten hype, I might have been invested in it.
Yeah. Well, in AEW's case, the women's matches just in general get underhyped just as a whole. They don't get talked about. We get 1 women's match a week usually. Now 2 sometimes because they put 1 on Rampage as well. And the rest are all just kind of put on on Dark or Elevation, right? And the tough thing is from a continuity standpoint, when you bury a match on Dark or Elevation, most people don't watch it, so it doesn't care.
It doesn't care?
It doesn't matter, I should say. It doesn't care.
It doesn't. The match doesn't care anymore.
It sure don't.
Buried it.
And so I would not disagree with Ty Conti, that match being underhyped as a whole, and Ty Conti herself. I think Ty Conti is the hidden gem that WWE should be absolutely kicking themselves for letting go. I think they even buried her on NXT, right? She was on NXT and they did not give her anything, and she gets cut and shows up in AEW and is instantly one of their stars.
That's because she's no speaker English.
Now, she speaks English pretty well.
Yeah, she actually kind of sounds like a deaf person a little bit.
I do like that, especially on Dark, when she wrestles on Dark, usually afterwards she dances with Aubrey Edwards. She forces her to Brazilian dance. Anyways, so I would not disagree with Ty Conti either. I think she's fire. I think that match was fire. It told a really good storyline of Britt Baker. There was a time where she could have tried to pin Ty Conti and she didn't because she would rather try to lock on the lockjaw. And then Ty Conti was able to reverse it into trying to pin her and all of this stuff. Yeah. It told a good story. And it would have told a better story if Anna Jay had showed up to try to rescue her.
Yeah, Anna Jay.
You're a horrible friend, Anna.
Bad friends.
Anyways.
With friends like you, who needs Britt Baker's?
Yeah, who needs Britt Baker's friends? Britt Baker, you do. You're a Britt Baker. We're moving on to OMG moment of the night.
I'm sure it was better in your head.
It wasn't even better in my head. It was a jumble. OMG moment of the night. We lost JLB again.
Golly, I keep going back to Luchasaurus.
This is a good spot for the Luchasaurus. Should we just call you DJ Fat Fingers now?
I'm around my phone died.
Wicked.
So
Anyways.
I spent
DJ
a year and a half doing
Fingers.
this off of a phone, and you guys going, why don't you just do it off a computer? I get a whole studio set up. I need more acoustic controls in here, but I get a studio set up and everything. And you're going to tell me your phone died? You think a phone is a better route to go?
Hypocrisy's a motherfucker, bro. It's,
That's legit right there.
Anyways, OMG moment, Luchasaurus. I think that's a very good. I would say, I would put Eddie Kingston's fucking back fist of doom to start the match was a pretty good OMG moment. Holy shit! He just knocked him the fuck. Is this going to be a 10-second match?
Yeah, I was like, are we not getting this match? Are we
What the hell?
not getting this match? Who the fuck knew Eddie Kingston was such a badass?
Yeah. And kind of an honorable mention for me, Sammy Guevara's swanton, I guess it was, off the top of the 20-foot ladder through the table on. I think it was Arlovsky.
Yeah.
I'll have to watch it again. Was really good, but I really want to give the OMG moment to the cameraman because it was perfection in shooting this moment. Right, very very low angle in front of the table, so it looked even higher than it really was. I mean, it was a 20-foot ladder. But
it looked like he was jumping from 7 million feet.
Yeah, it looked like he was jumping from the rafters.
Yeah.
And then landing through the table, followed him the entire way down. We've given AEW production a lot of crap over the time about how they shoot some of these big moves. Yeah. Like the fall off the top of the cage at Blood and Guts. That was called a botch in lots of ways because we could see the padding and all this stuff. In reality, I don't blame Jericho for that. I don't even blame them setting it up for it. That all came down to the camera work of it. They could have shot that in a way that didn't make it obvious that he was landing on padding. This was shot perfectly. This was perfection in shot. So that's kind of mine. But yeah, the Luchasaurus moonsault,
fire,
shooting star press. Excuse me, was fucking fire. JLB, any OMG moment for you?
I mean, Luchasaurus moonsault was great. I feel like I will have to give it to Sammy Guevara, though. That reminded me like old school Jeff Hardy back in the day. Really enjoyed that, and I absolutely think you are right. That camera work, I feel, maybe just made it that much better. Mm-hmm. So maybe the camera guy, to be honest with you, Sammy Guevara, maybe whatever, deserves it, but camera guy, AEW camera guy, for getting that shot. Mwah.
Yeah. I mean, the other OMG moment was Jay Lethal showing up.
Shut up!
It was an OMG moment. I wasn't expecting it. And fun fact, Tony Khan didn't tell anybody.
I read fucking spoilers beforehand, and I was like, motherfucker, this is gonna suck.
You didn't say, ooh yeah, machismo.
Another honorable mention for OMG moment was the way they handled the ref bump in the main event match. I really liked how the ref bump happened. Hangman Page was able to hit his move. I think it was the Deadeye on Kenny Omega. Was pinning Kenny Omega. The camera flips around to watch Aubrey Edwards just absolutely full bore booking it out of the back, slide into the ring. 1, 2, just kicked out there. That was one of those OMG moments where I was like, is this the way they're going to end it? Is this how it's going to end? No. But it was so perfectly well done. So
honorable mentions goes to the tombstone pile driver done on the apron. The apron was used amazingly in AEW.
That is the hardest part of the ring. Just so you know.
I was going to point out, though, I will also give OMG moment that all of the commentators resisted the urge to call it the hardest part of the ring. Even JR didn't go. You know, they would make references to how lethal it was and this and that, but not one time did any of them say, you know, that's the hardest part of the ring.
Wait, it is?
Apparently it is.
Oh shit.
So
I didn't know that.
So, but there were a lot of OMG moments. I mean, we could mention the OMG moments in the Darby Allin versus MJF, you know, the him pulling the ring out and winning with that. Him trying to get Darby Allin to hit him with the
tombstone. The tombstone that I was referring to was there.
Mm-hmm. The tombstone was there. There were a lot of OMG moments in the Lucha Brothers versus FTR match that we could talk about. Bryan Danielson versus Miro had, I mean, all of the matches did, but I think those above all that we mentioned are kind of the top ones. So we're going to move on to best move. Also Luchasaurus, maybe?
No. I'm super kick with tax.
Super kick to tax? That might be.
There was this Canadian again, I went crazy on the MJF Darby, but there was this crazy counter that Darby did that turned into a Canadian destroyer.
It was actually Code Red. He got up on the shoulders.
Code Red.
And then flipped forward. So, but yeah, that was pretty good. That was really good.
I'll give here's one I'm going to give it to, and it does go to Luchasaurus for a different move. Big dudes aren't supposed to do shooting star presses. They also aren't supposed to receive Panama sunrises.
There's
fair.
a lot of them, you know.
I feel like Jake Hager should get one too, because I remember him doing something off the top, but I don't remember what it was.
Yeah, Jake Hager's never gonna get my best move. So
I already said best move was Luchasaurus, so I'll give this best move to Sammy Guevara. Those are the two best moves of the night, hands down.
Yeah, very like. I mean, the buckshot to the back of the head was pretty phenomenal, but
it didn't put him down.
Didn't put him down. And just saying buckshot to the back, you know, does sound a little weird. So now this will probably be the debate one where we might disagree, but the final one is match of the night.
I'm gonna rank mine. I'm gonna give all 9 of them, bottom to top.
Bottom to top.
So,
okay.
AEW Full Gear. I'm gonna make sure I don't miss anything on the card. AEW Full Gear. I think we already know that I've said that the bottom was the Inner Circle match. The number 2 on that list is going to be Christian Cage. And again, I give fire spots. Just the whole thing wasn't, as a whole, it was not the best match.
I'll point out your bottom 2 were both of the matches with the most people in them, which I think plays into your exact argument on them. So.
Number 3 on this, I'm going to give, and in order of the most people in them, I'm going to give it to Cody Rhodes, 3rd from the bottom. Cody Rhodes, Pac, Malachi Black, and Andrade El Idolo. 4th from the bottom, I'm probably going to give to Kingston Punk. Told a great story, relatively short match.
Shortest of the night.
Yep.
11 minutes.
Britt Baker, Ty Conti is probably my 5th from the bottom. Then I got Lucha Bros and FTR, which was a fucking fire match. And then I've got so I've got 3 left. I've got Darby, MJF,
Danielson Miro,
and the championship. Danielson Miro, Darby, MJF, and Omega versus Hangman Page.
Match of the night, Hangman Page, Omega. Okay.
Yep. And by the fact that it's for a title.
Yeah.
That's seriously the difference.
Well, yeah, for a title and for the storyline.
In all 3 of those, Yeah, the storyline and the fact that it's for a title. I think the Miro MJF ekes out the women's title match because it's for number one contendership, and the women's title just was not Britt's best match. Britt's had better. So,
okay, JLB, your match of the night. I'm not going to require you to rank them all.
Just no, for sure.
They're all that good, though.
That's it. Probably the main event. It was fire. Just story, everything. Main event, Omega, Hangman, great, phenomenal match. Even if you didn't follow the story necessarily, it goes to that for sure.
You can give a 3-way tie to those 3 matches. That's how good they all were.
Yeah, really see, for me, like I said, Hangman versus Omega, but again, storyline is the big reason that was match tonight. I mean, it was a phenomenal match. So was the Danielson versus Miro match. They were both, but the fact that this one was the culmination of 2 years of storytelling is what really put this over the edge. And the finish, and the winner, the correct winner won. I think the correct winner won both of those, but yeah. So all 3 of us put it to the main event, which, when was the last time the main event at a WWE pay-per-view was the unanimous choice for match of the night for us?
Oh, probably Jey Uso versus Roman, which is almost a year old now.
Or the Roman triple threat with Daniel and Edge.
I don't think we all gave that match of the night.
No, I don't think we all gave match of the night.
That was WrestleMania, so I don't think we gave that match of the night.
No? Oh, shit. Okay.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, so unanimous match of the night, and it was the main event, which is, arguably speaking, I mean, Cornette would argue that the match of the night should always be the main event. If you're not capable of putting on the match of the night, you shouldn't have been in the main event.
And he would be right on this one.
And for this one, he also, is the main event should always be the title one, and in this case, that was also right. Yep. I don't agree that it should always be the title. But in this case, of these things, the main event needed
2 AEW pay-per-views ago, we did have a unanimous match of the night, but it was for the tag titles.
Mm-hmm.
When it was Young Bucks versus Lucha Brothers.
But a phenomenal pay-per-view. A pay-per-view. Hands down.
Second best pay-per-view for AEW of the year.
Mm-hmm.
2 loaded. Literally 2 loaded.
Yeah. And like I said, I don't know what I would have cut to make this less loaded. I mean, maybe the only one that jumps out at me is the Cody Pac versus Malachi Black and Andrade. But then I'd feel bad that none of them were on the paper. Oh, well, specifically Pac, Malachi Black, and Andrade. Those are the ones that
you could have put Inner Circle on Rampage or something, man. Like,
you could have done that, but
I don't think you get America's Top Team to join.
No,
he's right.
You don't, and that
you definitely do. Though. Khan pays them regardless. What do they care?
America's Top Team is about prestige. This is about building the prestige of the brand. Not just about the money, but building them as a prestige brand. And they're not gonna agree to do this match on a Rampage. You might get on a Rampage, Jericho, Hager, and Guevara versus Paige, Scorpio Sky, and Dan Lambert. But Junior Dos Santos and Andrei Arlovsky, I mean, those are still legitimate, active fighters, right? They're not going to risk injury for a Rampage, regardless of pay, right? You put them on a pay-per-view, they might do it, and they did it.
Seriously, a good job to those guys in not getting injured and keeping that potential door open with Dana White and UFC.
Yep.
To you guys have a 9-month break here before your next fight. You can go ahead and have a little segment with AEW.
And I'm going to go ahead and say both of them did good enough here that after their UFC careers are over, they've established themselves as potential for professional wrestling.
Well, I think isn't Orlovsky Bellator? Or is he
I don't think he was Bellator, because they brought in the Bellator guys that were
America's Top Team.
That were America's Top Team. They had them there for the announcement, but neither of them were chosen.
Okay.
I think both Arlovsky and Junior Dos Santos or
And so
Well, Dos Santos
I'll-
is definitely UFC for sure.
the behind the scenes of the night that I'm going to give is to Dana White for being willing to play with a faux fighting organization. He didn't do that with Brock, and he did that with these guys. So
yes, Arlovsky faced Carlos Felipe on October 16th at UFC Fight Night 195.
Okay.
they're both relatively recent matches. That way they have their full 9 months of recovery time.
And I don't think I don't think they're because Dos Santos isn't wrestling and isn't fighting anymore. So
Is he
I
fully
don't
retired?
think I think he's fully retired. He hasn't had a match in quite some time.
Notice he took the bigger bumps too, though.
Yeah. So I don't think you would have had a Brock caliber. Like I don't see Usman or Nunes ever doing anything with AEW because that's Dana White's bread and butter. So I honestly think Dana White only did that because these are fight night guys. Sure, it's still big and whatever, but it's not on your UFC pay-per-view
Yeah, in fact,
brand.
I will point out
265
apparently
on the card.
back in March, it was announced that Dos Santos was no longer in UFC. He's been released from
Oh
UFC.
snap!
Oh,
So he's not a UFC fighter anymore, which very well might mean that he is trying to transition to wrestling.
All elite.
And again, I don't know whether he's going to be all elite right from the start, like get a contract with them, but he performed well enough that he can take the tape of this to almost any major promotion and say, hey,
I'm developmental at least.
I'm developmental, I mean, if you're NWA and you get a chance for Junior Dos Santos to come in and wrestle, you figure out who's your best hand to lead him through a match.
Yeah.
Aldous, can you lead him through a great match, or you decide someone else?
I
I,
would-
don't care.
I would even argue they did better than Jake Hager.
Hager has to protect himself still, though.
Oh, because he still fights?
Yeah, he's still
Yeah.
Bellator.
Oh, snap.
His
Okay.
his matches are less often because he's not in the title picture.
Yeah,
Because of this.
less
but-
often, and not against like the big names, right? That's in the end, he's undefeated in Bellator mostly because he fights rubes.
He's a draw.
For sure.
But anyways, so match of the night, all of that stuff, great pay-per-view. I think all of us would say if you have not watched AEW Full Gear yet, first of all,
watch it.
your congratulations on being spoiled for everything. You shouldn't have. Why did you watch all of this to hear if you hadn't already watched it?
See, but I don't know because they'll be like, I gotta go see that Swanton. I gotta go see that Shooting Star Press.
I mean,
Oh my god, tax in his mouth.
no, I agree. I don't believe in spoilers. Like I looked up the event on my way home from Hamilton. I was like, who won each match? So I knew the outcomes of all of these matches. It's still
There's always news. There's
always news. So I'm just saying, if you're one of those people who hasn't watched Full Gear yet and you wanted to be surprised, why did you get all the way through this podcast? We said at the beginning you should watch it. Shut up. Watch this later and shut it off. I mean, it's too late now, but for the next,
I mean, by all means, next time. But always
Next
like,
time.
share, and subscribe.
yes,
Either way.
exactly. Like, share, and
But-
subscribe.
The appropriate sequence is pay-per-view, this show, Tatnisco Podcast Network.
Yes, that's the
That's the
appropriate.
appropriate sequence.
Exactly. But we are going to go ahead and wrap things up for this. We did manage to keep this review shorter than the actual pay-per-view. We have not always done that. So, yay for us.
That's valid. Yay for us. I mean, I think we're all still tired from the pay-per-view, so that might have
we are,
something
well,
to do
we're
with it.
still tired from lots of things. DA Fabe is really tired from church lock-in and
Scouts locking.
scouts lock-in.
Oh,
I'm
snap.
tired from dealing with family and Hamilton and nerves of getting ready for a new job in a totally new field for me. So,
Are you suiting up tomorrow, or is it polo?
polo, business casual. So polo and nice pants.
Raw and Order business casual?
No, this
No, that's the cutoff.
yeah, raw and order business casual is Pooh Bearing it. That's but I cannot get away with that at the
Raw
office.
and order business casual, baby.
That's right, baby. But yes, make sure to check all of the links in the doobly-doos down below. You're gonna have links to Tatnus Co. We talked about that before, but also links to our Patreon, our merch store, all of our social medias, all the ways you can support us there. Like, share, and subscribe is the easiest way to support us. It takes 30 seconds out of your life and doesn't cost you a dime to share this on social media so other people listen to it. Join us on the live stream. I know it's late. Maybe with my new job, we can start maybe moving this a little earlier. I don't know if it's going to work better for DFAB at all at any point, but the nice thing with my new job is it might give me some flexibility on moving this live stream a bit. But join us on the live stream, comment, all of that stuff. Help us out there. But like, share, and subscribe. That's the big thing. You can also follow us on the social media. You can follow me at Raw and Order WBU, just like it says right there, Raw and Order WBU, or at Pissant Podcast on Facebook, because I don't know, didn't let me do Raw and Order WBU. But the Raw and Order WBU on pretty much anything else, TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, all of that stuff. You can follow DAFAB at
And the guy who's trying to find your Sasha Bear.
Sasha Bear.
D.A. Vincent Kayfabe. I was looking for your Sasha Bear, but you
I can bring it up.
Yet. You have a Sasha Bear?
I haven't got it yet, but I have it the page up. So
yeah, pull it up.
So yeah,
D.A. Vincent Kayfabe. Sorry, it's right there. And then I was also, looking for JLB. I can't see him in the podcast.
I thought you were just mocking me.
I was. It's true. It's
mostly just
true.
walking him.
Just mostly.
But so
I was like, oh, he was actually looking at something. Oh, I'm not going to be mean. Then I'm like, no, this fucker's mocking me.
The Sasha Bear. You can get it now. It'll arrive in time for Christmas. Sasha Bear.
Is there a white one?
Yes. You can get
Nice.
The white Sasha Bear.
Wow. That does sound kind of racist, but it's just because with the colors, I feel like the white would have been better. But
nice. I actually like it. I actually like it better on a dark background because then you get to see the glitter I put behind her. But if you want to, you can also put it on red.
Can you change the color of said bear?
No, you cannot change the color of the bear.
Who's racist now? Jesus. What's wrong with a brown bear?
But see the glitter on the background there? Right? I don't think the glitter on the background of the Sasha Bear shows up as much on the white. It shows up okay on the red, but I just think the black shows up better.
Purple and red don't go good, so
they don't. I wish I had a choice in another color for shirt for the Bears, but right now there's just the three. But you don't.
I could change the color for her suit, so like this for the red one, it would look nice if you're gonna get it.
Well, then I'd have to upload multiple different image files, and they wouldn't show up together. So you'd have to go back and find here's the red exclusive version of Sasha Bear.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't realize you were lazy. My bad.
Wow. Okay.
I'm trying to make it convenient for my customers.
So occasionally you have people show up on the podcast that you couldn't see like this. You couldn't see the whole podcast. And so maybe you want to give them who the fuck is this podcast bear?
Hey, who the fuck is this shirt? Yeah, let's find who the fuck is this bear?
Who the fuck is this? I really want just a plethora of who the fuck is this bears behind me.
Scroll down. Shirts. It's probably I'm gonna best it's on the last page. There's the who the fuck is this dog. Here's the who the fuck is this bear.
Who the fuck is this bear?
Who the fuck is this?
Who the fuck is this?
And you can get it in red.
But then it's
who the fuck is this?
Is this?
The fuck shows up a little bit better in person because it's outlined in black. It's just hard to see on the big one.
Who is this?
Who the fuck is this? Or you can get it.
Huda.
Who the fuck is this?
So if you want something white, who the fuck is this?
Who the fuck is this? Who the fuck is that? So
It's a bear. We also have on our podcast.
you can follow JLB at
JLB420. Real Talk Radio, though, is the brand at Real Talk Radio 8, anchor.fm/RTR. And Spotify, on Apple, on all of them. So whatever platform you like to listen to, that's where you can catch me. Certainly, you can also at DA Vincent K. Fabe for being a piece of shit to people who have visual impairments. So by all means.
Visual impairments, first of all. Second of all.
There's not a person on this podcast that doesn't have visual impairment.
Second of all, where the fuck is your beard?
I didn't have my beard on Tuesday either, bud. Like, thanks for noticing.
Well, you were visible. It's No Shave November, bud. Care about men's cancer.
Well,
in fact, next person to buy a Who the Fuck Is This Bear will donate those proceeds to men's cancer research.
Sounds
Both
like a plan.
Both dollars.
Yeah, both of them.
Both dollars. Yeah.
Did you get a haircut, bud? I can also see maybe a haircut there.
No, it's just no beard. It's just.
I got me a bit of a haircut, mostly just on the side.
You still have that mop on top?
I still have the mop on top, yes. But I needed the sides to look good for the Zoom interview for the job that I got.
So you're gonna go to work with a ponytail tomorrow?
I'm probably not going to ponytail it, but it's going to be slicked back.
Wait, are you actually going in-house or just?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, this is fucking, this is a fucking job.
Job. I actually have to go there. Oh, snap. Nice.
Yeah, so he can't
Well,
wear
I mean, you had to go to your other
podcast
job
anymore.
before.
Yeah, I won't be able to wear this shirt or this hat there. And I certainly won't be able to wear a Who the Fuck Is This shirt.
I mean, you could under your shirt.
You could.
Yeah, it's an undershirt.
Underneath your clothes, you're a podcaster now.
Or I mean, if you really don't know the person, it'd be great. Hey, sir, who the fuck is this?
Who the fuck is this?
That's your boss of the company. Oh,
Now that's who the fuck that is.
Who the fuck this is.
Side note, that actually happened at my non-kayfabe job when a new general manager for the entire place came in. One of the underling managers at the same level that I'm at, not me, in a different department, but not me, said, so who the fuck are you and why am I supposed to care? When he introduced himself.
Oh,
he's not there anymore. He was only there for about 3 weeks.
Oh, was he actually fired because of that, or they didn't
just sucking.
Oh, just sucking. Okay, yeah,
just sucking.
It's never good to suck. I mean,
you can't suck and say, "Who the fuck are you?" And
right?
Why am I supposed to care to your new boss?
Definitely not.
And suck at the same time. You better be pretty phenomenal when you do that.
Yes.
Exactly. You know what? You just shouldn't do it. You
got to be really phenomenal.
I mean, you got to be Kenny Omega when you look at Tony Khan and say, "Who the fuck are you? And why should I care?"
Yeah, Ryan Reynolds walking into the new movie. Yeah, hey, who the fuck is this? Well, I'm the producer. Well, I'm fucking Ryan Reynolds. So
my name's Steven Spielberg. Oh, okay.
Yeah,
fair enough.
Hey, who the fuck is Steven Spielberg?
I love that your mic is set up perfect for it to give like a significant echo when you. Hey, who the fuck is Steven Spielberg?
and just before anyone, I know who Steven Spielberg is. For the joke, right? Fucking E.T. ruined my life as a child, mostly from crying because it was fucking. I was like,
oh, you were sad. Okay,
ruined my life.
I thought you were like afraid of aliens because of it or something.
No, fun fact: E.T. does never in E.T. does he say E.T. phone home.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yep.
Where was that from then?
He says ET home phone, and our brains are dumb. And remember, it is phone home.
Well, no, I am your father, is what's actually said.
Yep.
Luke.
Vader
I
never
am
says,
your
Luke,
father.
I am your father. It always has been the Berenstain Bears. Always. Anyways, before we go
So this
down,
podcast
It's not
could
the
end anytime
Berenstein.
now.
It's not Bernstein.
nope, it's always been the Berenstain Bears. But before we go down that hole, let's go ahead and end this here podcast. So we've already told you where you can follow us on the social media. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe, because that's a great way to support us. If you aren't already subscribed to us, do that. You can follow us on all the things. Let us know. Join us for the live streams, because we'd love to have you there. Or you can watch it on the replay on both Facebook or YouTube. We're now on Twitter, so you can watch it there, or you can continue to get it on the audio version only, because it's still going to be up there. But on that note, we're going to go ahead and close the book on this review of AEW Full Gear 2021. Thank you all for listening. We will see you soon.